Finally, someone let me out of my cage.
Oh, we're not going to start this with karaoke, are we?
No, God, I wish.
I haven't been left out of anything. Like we've been in here. You know we're in here.
We're in here.
We're here because we're here.
No!
Well, anyway, welcome to Return to Sender the musical. As was promised many a year ago.
Yeah.
This is our 20 subscribers special.
Well, listen.
There is no Return to Sender. We're illusions. You need to go see the doctor.
Yeah, we are not real.
You are in a coma. You need to wake up.
Yeah, your doctor is trying to reach you. Fall backwards out of your chair.
And they want to talk to you about the Fallout TV show.
I'm trying to reach you about your extended warranty.
Fucking hell.
Well, welcome everyone. It's good to see you all here again.
Yes.
The only time I get to see you is when the light is on.
Yeah.
Which, sucks to be you guys. I have dark vision up to 60 feet.
What the fuck? You get that as a racial bonus? Son of a bitch. Alright, well,
Cringe meth narratives aside.
Hello. Yes. I've been told that I'm actually audible this time. Maybe, possibly.
You should be.
I should be.
Yeah, it looks like by the waveform you are.
Oh, Christ.
If not, push comes to shove, you're an audio wizard now, Dr. White. You've leveled up into that subclass.
Yes.
So you can definitely help us out with that. Otherwise,
This cat scratch is way worse than I thought it looked.
I have specced far too far into the unemployment skill tree. I'm too far gone. Like, I can't get out at this point.
Yeah, but you gain extra HP when you rest.
This is true. I do.
yeah, well played. So, sorry, I did not actually notice you had cat scratches.
Yeah.
Have we all been injured by cats?
I saw a cat outside my house and I was like, I'm going to go pet it. And he was really friendly. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then he just turned to me and go, and just ripped my fucking arm.
Holy shit. Violent.
Breaking the fourth wall there a little bit, but ouchie.
Yeah, no, that was pretty painful. I had the unfortunate pleasure of visiting certain members of my family. And while I love my family, they don't look after, they really struggle looking after the cats that they have. And they're out in the middle of nowhere. They're sort of in the countryside. And, so those things are infested all the time. And I mean, just all of this.
Ow.
I have I think I counted them. I have 50 or 60 different bites, in various places.
Christ.
It was so bad.
Hope you don't get Lyme disease.
It's already too far gone. It's bad.
That's fine. We all come with eventually our different sort of ailments while in the container.
This is true, yeah.
This is the fate of our existence, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, you got convinced you saw your family. That was just an illusion.
Yeah, it is all just an illusion. My family are not real. Oh my god! What the fuck?
I forgot I have the XCOM battle music as an alarm.
That is a very good choice of alarms.
Immediate combat encounter. Commander, we must go now.
Wake up in a cold sweat. God, of all of the, parallel universe versions of Thunderpsyker, I love the idea of just, one of them being in the XCOM universe and dreaming about this and then waking up and being like, fuck, we are under attack.
We are fucking under attack.
God, I know
the aliens invaded in 2012.
Oh, God.
The near distant future of 2015.
Is anything happening with XCOM at the minute? I know the Chimera Squad happened.
No.
Oh.
They made, X-Men com.
There's Midnight Suns, yeah.
Sucked butt, and the company is kind of money.
They released a game in the last...
Yeah.
When did it come out?
Last year?
Last year or 2022
I did
or
not
something.
hear anything about
Exactly.
this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
sad.
that's the state of strategy games in terms of modern media, which is that they just don't get advertised. They don't get advertised well. I was rambling about Homeworld 3 in a previous podcast about how it getting announced at E3, the place where everyone is just browsing every conference for clout, basically, to talk about things on the internet. And Homeworld, dormant franchise for so long, a really important strategy game. Strategy games being a kind of quote-unquote dead genre that don't have much reach nowadays. How do we advertise it to these people? We have it flash up for a few seconds and a random guy from the team say, yeah, this isn't going to be Homeworld 2 and it's not a remaster, this is straight up Homeworld 3, flashes logo, no one knows what the fuck the game is.
I love games like marketing.
Yeah.
It's so great. It's
yeah.
so good.
Oh,
Love love that.
Yeah.
I saw a what I thought was going to be like a story catch-up trailer for Iron Fury, I think it's called. The sequel to like Iron Maiden, or sorry, Iron Fury was the original, Iron Maiden was the name they had to change from.
Yes.
What the fuck is the new one called? See, that's the problem. It's so fucking bland that I don't even remember its name now. The video I saw was a guy being like, this is not going to be a direct sequel. Think of it like a soft sequel that takes place in the same universe, but is allowed to do its own thing with the story. And it's not going to continue this. It's like, then what the fuck is this? It's just another game.
It's a sequel. It just might not follow the same storyline as
yeah,
before.
like, you're allowed to do that.
That's fine. Silent Hill kind of...
Yeah, Silent Hill flip-flops between whether or not the cult is important or not.
Yeah, it flip-flops between whether or not the magic of the town comes from a dying dead girl, or if it's from you being a bad person and the town being like a mystical judge or something like that.
I love just the state of modern media has gotten to the point where just the term sequel is confusing.
Yeah.
Like, that should mean something. It should be a specific... Like, it's just like... No, just put a number on the end of something. What is it? Something.
Yeah, soft reboots and sequels and
remakes and
reboot sequels and shit. Yeah.
But I spoke to some people who've worked on various projects that 3D Realms are currently heading. And have you heard of the RTS game they're making? Tempest Rising.
Yeah, you mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah, I might mention this before as well then. I'm kind of not mad, but I'm impressed that Bombshell / Iron Fury and all that takes place in the same universe as it, because the GDF is a faction in both those games, and it's the same GDF. But then they've also now the new one announced that Sin takes place in the same universe. So I just love the idea of this fucking weird-ass FPS from the 90s with, like, everyone being like, I gotta stop having this cool drug called, like, Liberate or whatever it's called, some, wacky Saturday morning cartoon big titty woman game, and then being like, oh, and also over the other side of the world there's guys with flamethrowers committing war crimes, don't worry about it.
Alright. I don't mind kind of like shared universes like that, so long as there's at least a little bit of vision behind it and it's not doing the multiversey sort of throw every character from all fiction into it sort of thing, where it's like, oh, who cares anymore?
I think it kind of makes sense why the world has fallen to shit as it is in those games now. If on the other side of the world there is like a fucking doomsday war ongoing, it's like, oh yeah, Detroit would become a hellhole of like post-industrial nightmare.
What do you mean would?
Oh, God.
Become worse.
Oh.
Detroit Become Worse, my favourite David Cage game.
That should be what the sequel's called.
Oh, Detroit Become Worse. I've been to Detroit for all of a day, and I was like, oh, this isn't actually too bad. I was being driven around, and it was like, oh, this isn't terrible, this isn't awful. And they were just like, oh, wait, we're going to go to the Henry Ford Museum. And I was like, oh, okay. I think it's the Henry Ford. But it was a big car museum.
Yeah.
So I assume Henry Ford. And I was like, oh, we're just going to drive a little way out of the city centre to take you there. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. All the windows go up. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. We're driving out, and then you see it, and you see what has become of the city, and you're like, oh. But yeah, the actual inner city bit, in a bright summer and like, I don't know, 20-something, it was fine. And then actually going out, and it's like, actually seeing entire civilizations of homeless people living underneath bridges, like the most I have seen in a single place, to the point that it is essentially a shanty town under a freeway. It's like, damn, okay, yeah, no, I get it.
That sounds exactly like my experience with St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
When I went there about 11 years ago, it was odd. We came in on a cruise, and it was effectively a case of you couldn't just go into the city. Every other place on that cruise, we went around the Baltic to like Helsinki and Stockholm, Copenhagen, and everything. But when you actually go to St. Petersburg, it's like, cool, you're either on a guided tour or you're on the boat.
Yeah.
And that's because it's a case of like, you're not allowed on the city. And when you're on the roads, there was this massive highway, like brand spanking highway they just built, probably cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
Almost empty.
Great, good start.
It has these big bending lampposts that look almost like the bones of like a giant sea creature, like you're swimming through the whale that swallowed Pinocchio's dad, and
is that what happens in Pinocchio?
Yeah. I think he gets swallowed by a whale. Yeah.
Okay.
Like Moby Dick shit, and the thing is, at one point it was like, okay, you get to look at like the nice sort of like rolling countryside. It was a nice sunny day because it was like July. And then I look over the bridge at one point to one side, and there is just a shanty town.
Yeah.
like massive shanty town of people living underneath there. So, in the event that this podcast does not reach here because it's intercepted by the Russian government, I do apologize. But yeah, choose your flavor, Detroit or St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, you know what? It'll be fine because we've talked about both sides of the Iron Curtain. So
Detroit was just an industrial powerhouse. St. Petersburg was their previous capital.
yeah.
I mean, London's not great, but it's not that bad.
I went through London through this imaginary trip that I had to see my family, and every time I go through London, I forget that that's what a lot of people see of the UK, and that's their first. It's either their first impression or their major impression because they holiday there and they have a look at it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see what kind of take you can imagine someone takes of this nation based of just that.
Yeah. Every time someone comes into Norwich, normally they come in by train, and that means that as soon as you get out the train station, the first thing you see is Prince of Wales Road.
Sad.
And every time I'm always like, I do apologise that you had to see Prince of Wales Road. And a friend of ours came over recently in January and straight up said, like, look, I've just come from like Nottingham and Glasgow and places like that. This is not the worst place I've seen.
Oh, fucking Glasgow. I never want to go to that place ever again.
I'm loving this
is
conversation,
horrible.
but like, we're a video game show.
I know, I do apologise.
I don't even know what we are at this point. Like,
we're a miscellaneous variety show.
we are miscellaneous. We just talk and some people listen and that's fine. Like, what has everyone been playing this week then? Let's start with that.
Go on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit behind on this, but, things are going well on the fronts in Helldivers, it seems.
Very good. Yes, we are late to the party, but Helldivers is a lot of fun.
The
Yeah.
fucking robots are back!
Yeah.
They're invading from the north! We need reinforcements!
Yeah. I think that's quite fun, though, although this is something I've always been a bit conflicted about, because I like this idea that there is a front that's going to constantly be changing, and your interactions with it as a player do affect it. Like, small actions from tons of people create massive changes. But at the same time, I've always had this feeling of like, cool, is it really going to be a case that when you wipe them off the map, they're just gone forever for the rest of the game? Because that seems really bad for replay value. But so I don't mind the fact that the automatons are back. I mean, the Super Earth government might have issues with me saying that, but they don't know where I am, and neither do I. So
see, this is all spitballing, more dreaming here, I suppose. But I kind of want us to fuck up a few of the defenses so we end up having like inner territory to defend. Because I would fucking love to see what they could do with city maps.
yeah.
Or even like bases, like underground bases where you can like drop at the entrance points and then have to like go through the tunnels fucking AVP style.
Yeah, I think you'd have to balance that around most of your stratagems being useless, though, because so much of your stuff is calling it in from orbit, and as a result of that, it's funny because the Super Earth armed forces very much follow a similar doctrine to like American military strategy, which
the
is
Covenant.
air superiority. Yeah, or the Covenant, air superiority, and that kind of thing. So taking you out of that environment would be a little bit tricky, but I think it would be fun.
I mean, if you're then being put into corridors where lines of fire become way easier and you're not going to get like overwhelmed from directions, maybe having little areas where there's like gaps you can call in resupply pods in the roof and whatnot.
Yeah.
I feel like it could work sort of in a weird way, like sort of like a payday experience, where like you're just trying to push your way into this facility to get to like, I don't know, the button that detonates it or something.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Cities as well is quite a difficult one, I think, to design full stop, because I think a lot of video game cities don't feel like a series of buildings with tons of floors and rooms. They feel more like an environment that has tons of blocks in the way of, to make linear paths where there's just a bunch of like, squares that you just can't enter because it's like every door is shut and every window is not escapable into, which is really hard to do. It's really strenuous on hardware, and it's part of my big argument for I would be fine if games just looked the way they did in the 7th gen and we just had more complicated and more populated environments instead of having ones that look better and better. But I don't know, it's not strictly something that...
Well, a technical aspect of that, improving graphical fidelity is actually cheaper than that by a long shot. Because, think about it this way, every NPC you run has its own thread, and that's asking a lot of stuff that that requires CPU time.
Yeah.
And CPU time is at a fucking premium. That is the one that's going to bottleneck you most of the time. GPUs are very good at doing big numbers a lot very fast. A character asking where am I going is not a big number. Or it's not complex enough or optimizable enough that you can make it into a GPU level request. So you've got this crazy hot graphics processor that we're dumping like a fucking grand on these days because they're stupidly expensive. And the rest of the PC is about $1,000, it's all told. And then you got to go, well, I could make this game have tons of systems and, interlocking narratives and I don't know, like a gajillion items in it, but then it will slow the fuck down. Whereas I could make it look shinier and make the few things we've got look really good because you bought a massive fucking card that's entire purpose is to make the shiny thing look shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a person who massively didn't care about graphical fidelity. I have found as I've gotten older and more lame, I found it much harder to go back to games I used to really enjoy that aren't as graphically rich. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's an attitude change or something like that, but yeah, I find a lot of games I just like a lot of the games I used to enjoy and think, wow, these are graphically, really good, or at least stylistically consistent to carry that. Now looking back at those games, they're just not. And the flaws are really more apparent unless they've made themselves very stylized in a way that allows... So PlayStation 1 is a really great example of a bunch of games that worked within a limitation that become a style that in itself comes on. So when you did your first stream, was one of, what was the name of the racing?
Ridge Racer.
It was a Ridge Racer, yeah. Ridge Racer! It was great. Like, and I know it was coming through, was it coming through HDMI or not?
No, it was, I was emulating it.
Yeah. So that's the kind of game where they had to build the art around what they could achieve, and thus a style was born from that. And that's the kind of thing I can go back and go, yeah, that's fine. But not to bring it up too early, if I was to play the original version of Star Wars Battlefront 2 on my PS2, I would be a lot less forgiving for some reason. Though that game also was kind of fine stylistically. A lot of the old GTAs look really fucking weird now. Just a whole...
4 stands up. It still looks a bit plasticine-y, but I think 4 stands up.
The old Lord of the Rings games, they are starting to look real weird. And the thing is, just like back in the day, that second one, that Helm's Deep one, great. Used to play that a hell of a lot. Used to think that was just like graphically really brilliant. But now, I don't know. It just keeps my attention better, and I prefer to exist within worlds that are prettier. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's because I ingest fewer games now as a slightly older person than as a kid.
You need that dopamine kick, the
I do.
brain chemicals from seeing flashing shapes move around.
I do. This is what I need. That's why Helldiver's been so great for me. Quickly circling back to that, the one thing I want for Helldivers, and I actually see them possibly doing this depending on server capacity, I want them to do scripted, vaguely scripted public events that are more Helldivers to a planet. I want to do Normandy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do a Normandy landing. I want to do... It's a one-off campaign.
Even if it's not so big. I mean, I'd go for 8 players.
Yeah.
If I get 2 teams.
And then just simulate some other shit going on in the peripheral and just be like, right, you have to capture this bridge.
Yeah. Your team was dropped down to do this thing. Their team was dropped down to do something else. But you're on the same map. So you might see each other.
Yeah.
You might hang out and work with each other. You might blow each other up with artillery because you're not organised and not part of the same team. But they're there.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I would want is I would want solid structures that remain in some state after the campaign. So that you as a Helldiver, when you go back to reliberate these planets, can point at an objective. Well, you can point, let's say take the bridge idea. Even if the bridge collapses during the offensive and you still take it, later on down the line when you're playing the game and you just happen to need to reliberate that planet, you can always see it on the horizon. You're like, I was there, I did that.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a really fun and thematic way to like expand on that game's premise.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing like defend the Termicide Tower missions.
Yes.
So those are sort of like I was there when we built those.
Yeah. It's very fun in that vein.
The bridge being blown up despite the objective being to take it, I think, is a really funny one, just because I think that fits really well with the thematics.
Yeah, you do also shit like
we
that.
We successfully captured the bridge. The bridge is no more, but the bridge is up.
Exactly. It looks good on paper. It's like when I played it for the first time and we were doing an evac and I died during the evac waiting for the dropship to come down. They still drop another Helldiver down, even though there's 5 seconds left, just so that someone can get on the ship and it looks like it was, we saved our troops. You sent the fucker down there in the last 10 seconds. And I
He
think,
didn't even need to go down. Why did you do that?
yeah, and I think that's really funny. Another idea I had, which I thought would be a good idea, and then as I was thinking it was like, ooh, no, never mind, is the idea of competing teams. Not so much ones that are PvP, but more where it's like, okay, one team of 4 Helldivers, one team of 4 Helldivers, you're both after the same objectives. Good luck to your unit, one of you gets a reward over the other one.
Super credit bonus.
Yeah, that would make it PvP. And
It would because of how many, friendly fire deaths are in that game.
yeah,
That's
already.
that's why it wouldn't be a good idea.
When you have like challenge or competition, the devs have gone out on a limb repeatedly and said, we're not adding PvP. There's no fucking point. You can already kill each other.
Straight up recommended Tarkov if you want to play PvP, which is so funny as a Tarkov player.
It's like, go play something else.
Yeah.
See, that's something I fucking love when developers do that. Shout out to Big Anthony. No, shout out to Adam Hand. He makes hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. Every time someone says, I wish we had more realistic targets, he essentially tells them to go eat a dick. It's like, go play a different game then. He's like, I can't play your game. The guns are so good, but why are we shooting hot dogs? Because it's fucking hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. It's in the name. Don't complain that you bought a game that isn't what you wanted when you can see it on the fucking front cover. It's like buying Dawn of War and being like, oh, I didn't know it was a sci-fi game.
Man, I really love Dark Crusade, but I'd love it more if it was Call of Duty.
Yeah, basically.
What the hell? Where's all the light? I don't like how dark this is.
Yeah.
Why isn't this Smiling Friends Crusade?
Smiling Friends Crusade.
Speaking of, have you seen the new episode of that yet?
I did see Gwimbly.
Gwimbly's Quest.
Gwimbly's Quest. Yeah, that was quite good.
I made the terrible mistake of showing my family that show, and I think my dad almost had a seizure watching the first season. Like, he did not know what was going on. He's like, well, yeah, that was different, and then walked out of the room. I was like, oh, okay.
I love parents' reactions to things because, I mean, everyone's got their own, like, thoughts and feelings and stuff, right? Like, that's just the way that things are. But I think that it's so fascinating when it's from someone who doesn't actively engage in these mediums in the same way that we do.
Yeah.
Friend of mine was talking about how her dad saw the film version of Cats.
Okay.
Yeah, from 2019.
Yeah,
Which is notoriously fucking terrible. And apparently when it was done, he just said to his daughter, it doesn't get better than this. And it's like, excuse me?
Wow, that was great.
From fucking Cats.
Oh,
Christ.
I mean,
that man had an out-of-body experience with that film. Jeez.
The episode 4 of HTP went out recently, and someone on Tumblr was like, I showed my parents this show, and my dad said it reminds them of King of the Hill.
King of the Hill?
Yeah, my brain was just like, okay, that's a pretty good comparison. I'm fair with that. I'm happy with that.
I really want to see where the dots connect, because I don't.
Probably the only example of, like, non-Family Guy / Simpsons adult cartoon they've seen.
Oh, fair point, yeah.
Like, King of the Hill tackled some pretty heavy concepts. Still can't believe they aired it on fucking 4Kids. Like, it was next to, like, Samurai Jack or whatever.
Yeah. It's very funny when you look at the old advertisements they had for those networks where they were trying to, like, have the characters crossing over with each other and interact with each other. Because it's like you have Hank Hill and then, like, the X-Men.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, Mr. Silver Surfer, you seem pretty neat.
Yeah. I think it found its perfect space during, like, Cartoon Network's Adult Swim sort of transitionary hour, where it would be the first hour of stuff on Adult Swim. Where it's like, okay, this isn't as explicit as Family Guy or Metalocalypse or anything like that. Yeah. It can fill that 8 o'clock space when little Timmy needs to turn the TV off and go to bed.
Yeah, be like, oh, this show isn't funny to me. It doesn't have funny slapstick moments. And then just has Bobby going, that's my purse! I don't know you!
Yeah.
My favourite of those adverts that were happening at the time is absolutely, like, for the shows and all that kind of stuff. Isn't a crossover one. It's for the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy movie. I don't know if you remember that.
A little bit.
It was the one where they understood that they were parodying that other advert, and so every 2 seconds it says, The Adventures of Billy and Mandy, the movie, and it just keeps saying that over and over and over and over and over again in this 2-minute commercial of just like super zoomy, like I don't. It was very funny. I always found
that is incredibly on brand.
You better watch this movie. It's a movie. Watch the movie. It was just I really like that. It's just a mark of the times mocking themselves.
I like that. I like that. Especially given you look at the other stuff on the network at the time. Johnny Test was massively in your face. And I remember there was some film I went to go watch as a kid where there was like a 10-minute trailer for like Foster's Home.
Foster's Home and Johnny Test.
Which was
my world.
It was basically just a full episode of the show just being shown in theaters as like a trailer to watch the rest of the show. Which, all right. You know, it's a bit like how Pixar would have like a short film before their films. But...
I remember a time where you go to the cinema and they had like DVDs of they'd have advertisements for DVDs of shows like, watch the whole of Sex and the City on DVD now. And it's like, I'm in a cinema. What the fuck? What?
Yeah.
I guess they were trying to like cross-pan with the whole idea of someone who goes to cinema or watches home movies as well.
Yeah.
God, I'm now thinking, which would I prefer in the first like 15-20 minutes before a film? Would I prefer previews for films that are coming out or an episode of SpongeBob?
I'd rather have an episode of SpongeBob. I don't...
Do you remember when they did their silent episode because they thought they were Disney originally in the pilot?
No?
There was a silent episode of SpongeBob.
I know the one. Yes,
The
no,
lead
sorry.
one.
Yeah, the lead one.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant like there was zero sound.
Oh, no, sorry.
the
The
lead-
silent movie style.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They hadn't procured voice actors at that point. They were trying to show
Was that what it was?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think they were trying to get the art style down and show that they can animate.
Yeah, because it's still a 2-parter, and the first part must have been when they did have the voice actors, and the second part is a shorter one, but it isn't long enough for a second episode. It's like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I think it is their pilot, or their test footage rather.
Yeah, it's like that was fascinating. I kind of liked that as their way of making their first.
I would pay so much money to watch an explicit, like an adult-rated SpongeBob silent movie. Like, obviously it breaks the fourth wall a whole bunch. So they do
I want it
talk.
voiced so I can have fucking Mr. Krabs say, Mr. Squidward, I should kick your fucking ass!
Honestly, like, we so almost got that with the Nickelodeon Super Bowl coverage.
Yeah.
I wish that like they didn't make that for kids and it was just, you know, them talking like that. Like,
Yeah. Well,
there was,
Do you remember when they announced it and they fucking it was sentence mix the scenes as I'm going to be playing at the Super Bowl?
oh no, I didn't hear that.
It's fucking great.
Apparently Tom Kenny sort of auditioned for the role of SpongeBob. I think the voice he was doing was an angry Christmas elf. Mm-hmm. So like the first time that he really did his voice, it was as an elf who was swearing.
I love the. I think I've definitely mentioned this before. There's a couple of like outtakes on YouTube of him like swearing like off camera, but it's still in the voice booth.
Yeah.
The same with the voice actor who played Plankton. There's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, shout out to fucking Tom Kenny because doing an entire Super Bowl in SpongeBob's voice, like full commentary, like shrieking, is just like, yeah, no, fair enough, man.
I mean, you've done a voice for like, what, 30 years now? I think
the thing is that I'm pretty sure he stopped after season 3 or 4. Like, I think he stopped voicing SpongeBob for a bit. He only came back for one of the films. Like, he might be back in the newer series, because SpongeBob, I think, is still going. But, yeah, to be fair, I mean, the dude's got a lot of feathers in his cap when it comes to voices. I can see him having the...
I want to have... You know how there is a morbid curiosity with final meals, like on death row and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
This does have a point. I didn't just randomly think about people being executed because I thought about SpongeBob.
Yeah.
I really would like to see every VAs, like famous VAs, pre or post work drink. Because I know that Andy Serkis had one for Gollum, and it was like some sort of honey chamomile tea, but like with a lot of like I don't know what he called, like I think it was really Gollum drink. I think he called it.
It really depends on what you're trying to do with your vocal cords.
Yeah.
If you want to like soften them and
like
you don't want to hurt them after you're doing that for hours. Something with like honey and
I think it was honey. It was a chamomile thing, and there was this great piece of footage from I think one of the like extras or whatever from one of the films where an intern is like, oh hey Mr. Serkis, I've got your drink, and he's halfway through like an interview to camera, like not an intense one. And she hands it to him, and it's like piping hot. And he is like is like, "Ah, yes, and after I drink this," she goes, "Oh, careful, it's hot." And he just immediately just downs half of it, and then just comes out with the Gollum voice immediately afterwards. And it's so funny to watch this intern like look terrified, thinking that she has just burnt the entire interior of this idiot's mouth. And just
oh no, I've destroyed his vocal cords. He'll never do it again.
Like, can you imagine if that's what had happened? Like, we had to take a break from shooting because I fucked up Andy Serkis's voice because I told him it was too hot and he still drank it.
I'm gonna get the joke wrong, but there's a joke like that in Metapocalypse where fucking they're talking about food and things they need to like get ready for shows, and Nathan goes like, "I do nothing but drink Mountain Dew and eat nachos. My voice sounds fine."
Naval Explosion's fucking great.
Yeah, he's right. I fucking love my dad.
I love that fucking clip so much. I think about it like every week.
That show, sorry to loop off on it, but I fucking love the dynamic between him and his parents because he acts like every fucking like, "Oh, I don't want to go see my parents." Everyone's like, "Oh, I fucking hate my dad, he's an asshole, he kicked me out." Like, I never knew my parents. They all have like the grim backstories. And then whenever his parents are actually in, he's just like, "God, you're so boring." "Oh, did you know Mrs. Sandra down the street? Well, her power went out and her feet froze and they had to cut them off." "God, Mom, that's so brutal." I fucking love that show.
It's really good. We need to watch more of it. I think.
Is it still going?
No, they released the second half of the movie last year or this year, and it's fucking good. Speaking of movies, looping back to cartoons real quick. When I was young, I watched Ed and Eddie as a kid.
Oh,
that was my premium show.
Yeah.
I watched the movie sometime later because I couldn't actually go see it. I don't think it actually ever got screened over here, so I don't think I ever knew that there was a proper like conclusionary movie until sometime later. So I ended up getting it and watching it, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried like a bitch.
Is that when they're all like grown up?
No.
I'm thinking of a different thing.
There is a couple of fan series where they're all grown up. One of them is called Peach Creek, and it's really good. So shout out to Peach Creek, good people. No, that one's the one where they fuck up really badly and they have to like leave the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And they have to go find Eddie's older brother, who turns out to be a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Despite the whole show has just been nothing but him being like, "My older brother knows how to drive a car, my older brother knows how to do this," and they get there and he's like living on a fucking trailer home on a theme park and he's like an asshole.
Oh.
It's like, oh.
Damn.
Your brother was an asshole, man.
Yeah, no kidding. I've seen the clips of Eddie's brother, and they are heartbreaking.
Yeah,
just how awful he is.
I just remember a dude ate a bed in that show.
Yep.
I'm just very happy about it.
Yeah,
you know?
it was a great time because Ed and Eddie, I want to say, was Cartoon Network.
Yep.
Yeah, that was very much their. I feel like it was their answer to the sort of Ren and Stimpy on Nickelodeon when things were in that kind of zany,
fucking weird show.
Yeah.
It was a good show, though. I love absurdist humor. Like, again, my favourite episode is probably the one where they realise they're in a cartoon, and I think Ed is like, "Oh, I'm hungry," and he just grabs the fucking sun out of the sky, takes a bite out of it, turns it into a moon, puts it back up, and they're just like, "What?" Oh yeah, and they peel off Johnny's outline, and his like inks leak out of him, and he goes down the drain like, "Help me!"
I really like those kinds of jokes as well. Chowder was pretty good for them as well. There's lots of really good ones in there.
Yeah, Chowder was like a little bit came on a little bit later on. So I never saw it. Because it was Chowder and then it was like Adventure Time and shit after that. Right?
Yeah.
I had a weird issue with Chowder when I was younger in that I found its food-centric mentality kind of a little bit uncomfortable and I couldn't really get into it, especially since it was around a lot of things like, I'm gonna get like fucking lambasted by people who really like the shows now, but like Camp Laszlo and my gym mate's a monkey and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I have not thought about Camp Laszlo in a long time.
There's a reason why.
God.
It isn't great.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly fond of it either, but I really liked Chowder. I think the creator of it did sort of, I think he worked on SpongeBob.
It has the same kind of vibe.
Yeah. Although I've never seen season 4. There's 4 seasons of Chowder, and I've only seen seasons 1 through 3, because season 3 lost me as a kid. It overplayed a couple of jokes. You know how SpongeBob occasionally has those cutaway jokes of just an extremely realistic looking thing?
Yeah.
And it's like funny because it's grotesque or something. Like Chowder did that once or twice in season 2, and then in season 3 it'd be like every episode, and it's like, alright, maybe cool it.
Same problem Flapjack had in some places as well.
Flapjack doubled down, yeah.
Well, lads,
Jack.
shall we rotate off the horrors of cartoons and back to current video games?
We can try. I mean, it didn't work last time. We can
Yeah,
try it again.
Welcome to Return to Sender, the show where we don't know where we're going.
Yeah, it's the joy of being in a crate floating in maybe the ocean. Like,
that's probably why we're talking about SpongeBob. It is smelling briny right now, so I don't know if that's something leaking out of one of the tanks in the back, or if that's...
I love the smell of the sea, dude. It's so good.
God, genuinely, I miss it. Since I can't smell anymore.
Yeah.
But no,
Spiders can smell?
Yes.
Oh. I don't know much about them. I at one point...
Arachnids are fucking cool.
If you don't mind me tangenting for a minute.
Go ahead.
There was one point a massive fucking spider in one of my houses that we were trying to get rid of just because it was like, one, it would be kind of inhumane to kill it, and two, just because it was in the way and it was sort of creeping everyone out. And it was staring at two of us, and I suddenly saw a puddle of liquid form underneath it, and I went, did that spider wet itself? Like, what? Why the...
Oh, no!
And then I either spoke to you about it, White, or I spoke to someone else about it, and I think it's that spiders, like, do release a liquid that comes from when they, like, kill their prey and they eat it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like an acid they use to break it down.
Yeah, so it's technically not urine, but it's still like a leftover...
You know how flies vomit on food to melt it and then they suck it up afterwards?
Yeah.
Spiders inject that into things and then suck out what's made of the goop when it's done. It's weird.
Makes death by giant spider. Giant spiders, overused in all fantasy things, don't think people realise just how fucking horrible it would be to get killed and eaten by one of those things.
Yeah. Giant spiders as a concept are fucking terrifying. Not
giant insects in general are just like, that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Shadowrun has a whole thing with bug spirits, where ants just collectively believe in themselves so hard and have such a limited intelligence. They're like, I am an ant, you are an ant, ants are great. They believe so hard they make like giant ants that's basically immortal. And it's like, fuck, stop believing so hard.
Ants are very cool. Just insects are cool, dude. Like, oh god. Bugs are wicked, man. Just looking at the floor at a woodlouse, like, yes!
Yeah, rock on, booty!
Guys will just look at this and think, fuck yeah.
See, I've always known them as woodlice as well, but I genuinely have met people who are like, no, they're pill bugs.
Yeah,
they are pill bugs. And it's like, look, what are you, 7? You know, roly-polies? They're fucking
roly-polies is the other one.
Where I grew up, ladybirds were called Bishy Barnabys.
Yeah.
Don't know where that comes from.
We convinced someone at our school that who was a foreign exchange student that a bumblebee, the colloquial name is Womblebear.
My mum says that.
It's a great term.
That's so cute.
I think it's a direct translation of another language's word for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm like German or Swedish.
I thought people were just bullying this person and joined in, you know. I didn't realise it was actually accurate. I was just being horrible.
I've heard it before, so maybe it's spread, maybe it reached me.
Oh, Christ.
But alas, salute back to video games, as that is supposedly what this show's about.
Anyway, Helldivers, the only good bug's a dead bug. Back to gaming.
Back to video games.
Oh, God, yeah.
I have been playing a load of Helldivers, just so much Helldivers. Yeah. Tons of Factorio again, because I caught that bug. Plus, when I'm working on a video and I'm rendering or I'm doing something else, I can play Factorio and it doesn't like immediately tank my PC, which is nice. And more recently, and I hate that I'm doing it because I don't like it, I'm playing Fallout 4 again.
No, we can't go on another Bethesda tangent.
But we will.
No!
I need to be ready for Fallout London. It's dropping the end of this month, so when this episode releases, it's probably already out.
Yeah.
It's either going to be another Frontier, in which case I'm going to laugh my fucking ass off at it before it gets pulled down.
Oh, no.
You know, like, I don't know, you have to go fight Zombie the Queen or some shit.
Oh, God.
Or it's going to be really fucking good, and I'm going to be really happy to have played it.
Wasn't that like a really good Fallout Miami mod? Was that
yeah, there's Fallout Miami, which has been sort of alluded to for ages. I'm not sure that's still in progress. There's Fallout New California, which honestly is fucking fantastic, but also is very hard and loose with the lore. Because it's like, we're going to make our own original story that is very weird. And then there's a few other mods that
right.
I mean, there's Frontier, there's Dust. I don't know, a dumb amount of Fallout mods.
I mean, it's a scene that has a lot of mods, I assume, whether those be total conversions or small things. And that's been something that's been quite distressing about looking at Dawn of War mods recently, is the sheer difference between how many varied mods you get for San Andreas and for Skyrim or for any kind of Bethesda game or something on the Source engine, compared to Dawn of War, where it looks like, just through going through a bunch of old sites, loads of people had really wacky ideas for like non-40k mods, and then they just never got off the ground. Because the modding tools or just the engine, the Impossible Creatures engine,
it's really hard to mod.
Yeah. Like I found one recently that if it had been completed, I would be over the moon about. A Resident Evil 4 mod.
Oh my!
For Dawn of War.
What?
The three factions being Umbrella Corp,
Okay.
the United States, and the Los Illuminados, the Spanish cult that is, possessed by worms.
That's pretty neat.
That would have been so great. I would have loved that, but it did not come to be. It seemed to have got dropped quite quickly.
Very weird.
But like there was another person who was porting a Gundam into it, and that never finished. And
honestly, that reminds me of Halo Gen, and now I'm sad.
Yeah.
We almost had a full CNC style Halo Wars clone.
That would have been great. Oh man. Yeah, I mean that's another one but for the most part, it is just a thing of like most Warhammer mods just become about adding more Warhammer into it, which I think is a shame. It's great for what you get because it's like cool, people get to use and see more and more of the universe and more tabletop things. It's a simple thing. I feel like there's not very many. You're mentioning about Halo. I don't think there's many non-Halo mods.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, you can get a few. I mean, shit, you can get models for both Lethal Company and Content Warning.
Oh, really?
Just the Master Chief suit.
Well, I mean, in terms of putting Halo stuff into other games, that's quite common. I feel like that's all over the place, but it's the other way around. But then again, I might just not be that familiar with Halo Custom Edition, where there was a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of wacky mods that have been made. I mean, Cursed Halo Reach just came out, so I'm looking forward to playing that.
Oh, definitely.
I want to see, what's his name? Make it count.
Oh, fucking George.
Yeah, George. I want to see George. They just made him go Super Saiyan in every scene he's in, so he just has like the golden hair and the fucking aura. And it's like every scene he's just walking around glowing, and it's like, what the fuck, George?
That's pretty fitting for his power level. Yeah.
He made it count.
He made it count. But yeah, I mean, it's like Command & Conquer, there's quite a few sort of big conversion mods for those.
Generals is probably the big bed for that, and I don't know. I think it's because it's far enough detached and it's also simpler enough that like the models aren't very complex. So you don't have to be great at modeling, and the engine itself is far more flexible to manipulation than the later ones are. CNC3 is notoriously. It has a built-in mod manager, but the way you install mods requires you to like find the fucking my files directory and all that. Whereas Generals, you could just drag the big folder over the exe and it will just go, okay, I'm executing that then, because that's how I handled the launching of 0 Hour.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just a hey, I'm gonna wait until you give me all the files I need to boot, and then I'll read them consecutively, which is neat. Yeah, other than that, Fallout 4 video game, playing it. It's a game, all right.
Have you been playing anything recently, Angles?
It's Helldiving, honestly. But like I said, I was in the corner having that delusional trip, thinking that I was away somewhere and thus unable to access various computery things.
I just love the idea of someone like so fucking shell shocked they're just like sitting there fighting bugs in their mind, like, I'm going to Tesco's. I'm fine.
Everything is fine.
I'm disassociating from the situation.
Sounds like some fucking Cry of Fear shit.
Yeah.
Don't mind me Blair Witching in the corner right now, thinking about the bot drops. I was just playing that.
Part of us never left the creek.
No, but we are. I'm holding him to this. We are going to be going back to Dark Souls.
Yes.
I'm physically forcing Thunder through the gauntlet. I'm going to try and get as much of it done this year, but given our busy... I say our busy. Giving his busy schedule, that's going to be difficult, but I don't think we're going to get you to Elden Ring by the end of the year, but we might.
You never know.
We might.
You never know.
Any time that you're not stealing, I'm going to be like, hey, We should play AC7.
Yeah.
We gotta fly those planes.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like hanging out with people just to play extra games and other things, because otherwise most of the stuff that I'll be playing is just something to do with a review or something.
That's something I've been playing lately. Fuck, I completely forgot. Because I've been playing it with Ash, the character from the other podcast on this show.
Yes.
I've been playing the Tail Concerto series, or rather, the Little Tail Bronx, that's the name of them. Me and her played Tail Concerto. We're going to be playing Sabaroto soon, or I forget how that's pronounced.
Yeah.
But that game, it starts out as like this is a cutesy funny animal game, and then turns into basically furry Metal Gear. That's the only way I can describe it.
I was not prepared for that. Yeah, all right.
That is the only way I can describe that series. Is basically furry Metal Gear, complete with like my grandfather was your brother's co-worker's army friend, and that's why I have the power to fight you. And it's like, what? Genuinely really good games though. Like I want to play Tail Concerto with you. It's incredibly short, but like it's maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Oh, that's fair.
If you like min-maxing it, but it is a very, very cutesy game, and I'm looking forward to showing Ash the next game in the series, because it suddenly gets way darker and way more serious. When the first game's just like, oh boy, I sure hope we can save the world. It's like if like Spyro suddenly had like a Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Oh, you mean the Legend of Spyro series?
Yeah.
But no, I get you. That's it's funny you mention that, because I've also been playing a lot of sort of smaller, shorter games more recently as well. One of which being Spyro Hero's Tale, which I can't figure out if I hate it or not, because it's not bad, but something about its style and its music and everything feels wrong. That I've really just not been getting along with it. Like, I feel like it's perfectly fine on its merits. I'd take that as a sequel to Spyro 3 than what Spyro Into the Dragonfly was.
Yeah.
It's still not great, to be honest with you, but I could be selling it a bit too short. Other than that, I've been playing the Haunted Mansion licensed game from like the early 2000s. Another PlayStation 2 game. It's like you're some guy who's going into the Haunted Mansion from the Disneyland, ride, sort of the mythos of that, where there's ghosts everywhere. But it's like a shooter. You have a lantern and you fire lasers at ghosts, and it's kind of amazing. Like it's pretty good for what it is. Gets a little bit tedious sort of closer to the end of it, and the difficulty just skyrockets. Like, there's some point where enemies are always quicker than you, and they just rush up to you, and it's like...
Does it feel like it's a ported arcade game?
It doesn't, that's the thing. Oh. I mean, the difficulty-wise it probably does, but like control-wise it doesn't. But there's a point where you get to like possessed suits of armor, and the way they rush at you and do their big swinging attacks, it's like you're being attacked by fucking Artorias. It's like, Jesus Christ, okay, fucking hell. But like, that was another smaller one. And the other one is a game I don't think many people have heard of at all. It's called The Sniper 2. It is an incredibly cheap PlayStation 2 game about being a sniper. It's almost like Where's Wally, but you have to shoot the guy that you find.
I fucking love sniper games, because they all just like something sniper something.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
Are you the same series? I can't tell anymore.
Well, that's what I think it would be really funny if you got someone to play Sniper Ghost Warrior, The Sniper 2, and Sniper Elite Zombie Army 3, and tell them that's the same series.
They're all the same series. It's linked by a guy with a gun that shoots very far.
It's like Assassin's Creed. They have an animus, they all go through it, and it's the same guy.
There you go, yeah.
Same dude, don't worry about it.
It's just one of them. What the Sniper 2 in particular is trying to be like a Metal Gear ripoff of it's like the US government are secretly making a big chemical bomb, and you have to hunt them down, and there's a guy who looks like old Dante, and he's...
It reminds me, I was rewatching Mandalore's Anonymous Agony video, and I kind of want to experience that for myself.
Yeah.
Because that apparently just goes completely off the fucking rails right at the end. And I want to be able to see this journey of a sociopathic pedophile murderer. Not to say that isn't... legally, I am not allowed to say murder is okay, but if I were...
Then a pedophile is a pretty good one to murder.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, which part gets cut? The St. Petersburg talk or this?
This podcast kills paedophiles.
That should be the name of it. It gets demonetized immediately. That's fine. We'll lose the £2 we'd get from it.
Oh.
It's fine.
Then we can't buy the sweet bag of fucking cashews we have here.
Damn it.
But no, so I kind of want to play that at some point and experience the horror of that video game. But completely everybody's nothing is. I just remembered it. I had I'm allowed to say this because I am on the spectrum. I had a incredibly autistic moment a few days ago.
Okay.
Where I was playing Sonic Adventure 2 with a friend, and I heard a character and then went, I know the voice actor of that character. It was one line, probably like 5 words, and I was like, I know who said that. I know who said that because it's the same voice actor who voices the main character from Telkenso. They're like, no, it can't be. That's not right. No, it's not the same voice actor. I'm like, no, it is. It absolutely is. So I go in, I find it. Yeah, I'm fucking right. She's also the voice of Bubsy.
Yeah. This is Lani Minella, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so also voices the Tyranid hive minds from Dawn of War 2.
What?
Yeah. Bubsy and Rouge the Bat and Tyranid Hive.
So many fucking games.
I think
that's so okay.
Yeah, she apparently she talent scouted John St. John for Duke Nukem.
Yep.
She
also voiced the original. Was going to voice the original Bombshell.
Yeah.
Then she ended up being all the babes in Duke Nukem and the Babes.
Yeah.
She's done some fucking cool shit at Devil May Cry 3.
Yeah, very prolific, which I think is fucking great.
Super Smash Bros.
She was in Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah, she was. Fuck, I just lost it now. She was the voice of Lucas and Lynn and Pit.
Alright, checks out. Fair enough.
All the necromorphs in Dead Space.
Oh, well, I mean, if you got the hive mind down, you could do necromorphs.
Yep.
That's a hell of a range, honestly.
War, medieval.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those moments where I heard 5 fucking words from a character, and it's the fucking Robo-Chows, you know the ones?
Yeah.
I heard 5 words, we're running past them, and I'm like, I know that voice actor. Locked in. I must find them.
Well, that was, I had a very similar moment several years back where, some people I was living with, were forcing me to watch, Christ, what the fuck is it called? Greendale? What the fuck's it called? The fucking Archie comic, live action show. Riverdale.
Yeah.
The idea being that they were like, oh no, I heard that season 3 gets weird, so it's gonna be so bad it's good, and that, or so bad it's funny.
Right.
We didn't even get to that part of it. But there was a point where one of the characters is talking to a biker, and that character talks, and immediately I snap up and go, I know that voice, that's Scott McNeil. That's Scott McNeil from my favourite game, Dawn of War. He's my favourite voice actor ever. And the two of them are sitting there what are you talking about? Is he famous? I'm like, no. But he's been in everything. So
is he famous? No. No.
He's famous to me.
I mean, I forget his name. Fuck, the guy who voices Diomedes.
Keith Sarabika.
Yeah, that guy. He also voices the Black Hand, and I fucking love that, the comparison between the two of them. It's just man, you have a good voice. He also voices Joshua Graham.
Yeah, it's so funny because some of Diomedes' voice lines in Retribution do sound like Joshua Graham. He's doing a very similar style of voice. But then you get to Diomedes' combat lines.
Barks, yeah.
And he's yelling a lot more and he sounds like a completely different person. And I really find that so funny.
I am very sad that Joshua Graham did not get a card in the Fallout Magic the Gathering crossover.
Yeah, what the fuck?
He didn't get one, and I was like, oh, maybe it's because they didn't want to make God canon. And then I thought about it more, and I'm like, hang on, they're releasing Leonardo da Vinci and Cleopatra, and people who worship various gods from history in the Assassin's Creed set they're doing this summer, and I was like, why didn't they make a Joshua Graham card?
That would have been fine.
It would have been too powerful.
I know, because they left certain actors, they left certain characters out of the Doctor Who set because they have done certain things that mean they've been decanonized.
Yeah. A little bit, not great.
Yeah, that Captain Jack guy, I can't remember the actor.
He's been decanonized?
Not decanonized, but he's not, he's a bit of a difficult character from what I understand. Because of things that they did on set.
Right.
Which surprised me, but...
I don't know, have you seen Torchwoods?
Yeah,
a bit. Yeah,
yeah.
And there was him, and there was someone else.
We're gonna make an adult Doctor Who, so everything's gonna be about fucking.
That's trucking and fucking is all I crave.
Yeah.
Honestly, there are plenty of Doctor Who fans who'd probably want that.
Born in a cave, raised in a cave. I wish to return to the cave.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I'm surprised to hear they did any Fallout New Vegas stuff in their deck like that, because it always feels like, especially since the IP is now Bethesda-led, it seems like there's so much more of a bigger push to be like Brotherhood of Steel, Vault Dweller.
There was a lot of New Vegas stuff, thankfully.
Yeah.
Heartaches by the number, troubles by the score. Every day you love me less.
I would love to meet whatever corporation would like to sponsor this. Like, I don't know what they look like. They might not be human, but you know,
they could be Bad Dragon.
They could be. That would
be
be very cool.
Imagine what will happen if at one day we're able to just have a Bad Dragon dildo mounted next to the microphone here.
One can see it. It's just there.
But we have to see it while we're recording, and it will make a different atmosphere in the room.
It will. Yeah. It's like, dude, we should get a joke sponsor. How about Bad Dragon? Yeah, that'd be really funny. Yeah, and then, a couple weeks later, so guys, I have the sponsor. Oh, that's really cool. What are you gonna get? No, but seriously, like, what are you gonna get? Like, it's okay. I'll use it. It's fine. I'll. It's just for a bit, right? Just we all stop fighting over it.
The thing is that I did have a company reach out to me that does body pillows and sex toys and things, and I very much considered taking it as a sponsor. But I think the issue was going to be is that, one, I wouldn't get paid for it. It would just be I get one of their products for free.
Okay.
And two, it would have to be a video about the product. It would have to be a review of the product.
Oh my.
So I don't want to do that.
Yeah, what the fuck? It'll be a funny joke, like people having funny...
Make a Patreon only like post about it and just be like, so guys, if you want to see my video reviewing this, here's a link to my OnlyFans. Just like cascading like the number of paywalls and just see how many people would actually. You might surprise yourself. You might find a new market.
It's a thing of one of those cases of I probably would have done it if it could have been like a 1-minute advert that I would have gotten paid for.
Yeah.
But a 5-minute review just on it.
I really love how we have gone from Fallout straight to things going up your ass.
Much like their head does.
Yeah.
We did it. We landed. We stuck the landing.
Hello, gamers. I'm going to tell you something important. Put down that overpriced sippy drink you have that you bought from a company that sells you fucking gamer energy. Get some lemon juice, honey, salt, and bottled water or tap water. I don't fucking care. I'm not your mum. Mix them together with a teaspoon of salt, shitload of honey to cover the taste of the salt, and lemon juice to add flavor to it. You've just made yourself an electrolyte drink. That is what you're buying when you buy, like, branded energy drinks and sports bottles.
This has been Cooking with Dr. White.
That will replenish your salt levels and make you feel good. It also doesn't contain as much sugar, or at least as much refined sugar, as fucking branded energy drinks will.
But I like the shungies.
I too enjoy the boomer juice occasionally.
Oh yeah, no, I'd never.
Oh god!
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to spit it.
It's all over the floor.
God, don't say that. It's gonna make it sound worse.
He's pissed himself. Chad, he's pissed himself.
It's happened again.
There's only like 1 or 2 drops. Wait, no, that sounds like this. Oh no.
Oh, we have fun
April
here.
13th, popular YouTuber Thunder Psyker pisses self.
Number 50.
Oh god.
Oh, but anyways, yeah, that was just me being like, I need to like vent about that. I hate seeing people like trying to push energy drinks for gamers.
Yeah.
You're sitting on your ass playing a game. You need cognitive function. Have a green tea, you fucking plebeian. That has all the caffeine you need and the moisture you need to stay cognitively active. You don't need pre-workout for playing fucking Call of Duty.
It's so funny you say that because I genuinely considered having a protein shake while we were recording this.
Fucking.
But that's only because I was at the gym yesterday, so I kind of need
Next
to
time
get...
we do a recording of this, we'll hope that like Dr. White forgets this, but me and you need to bring as much whey protein powder stuff. So like everywhere in the container, it's just everywhere. We just come in like flexing as hard as we can, like, yeah, I'm just gonna drink this really casually, you know?
It's
I am going to make you drink thick water.
No, please, not the thick water.
You're going to drink the thick water.
Don't send me back to Brazil.
You should do the angles. You should do the thing that you were telling me the Russian and Indian bodybuilders do, where they inject saline into their muscles.
Oh,
To do
What's the name of
that's
that
like
chemical?
it's like when you
know
fucking what?
You know what that chemical's called when they fucking inject themselves. It is not. It's not saline, but it's essentially like jelly to make them look like they have abs.
Yeah, I don't know the name of that chemical, but I know the
Fucking
types.
horrible. Oh,
I mean,
God.
overhyd-
People die from it.
Yeah,
Like,
overhydration of muscle does allow you to expand areas, and dehydration allows you to get better definition. But again, you're dehydrating yourself. Here we go again. You mentioned something medical. It's my fucking
Yeah,
field.
no, we've done it.
The one that always bugs me is people doing stuff like, "Oh, I'm going to basically take amphetamines to do exercising and things," and it's just like you're not going to get anything out of that.
I mean, amphetamines are great, but you know, maybe not with a workout.
Not a workout. I mean,
No.
you don't want to break the place. God, no, I had something else to mention a minute ago when you were talking about the fucking pile of. Oh yeah, thick water.
Yeah, thick water.
Thick water's actually a thing.
Yeah, no, I know. It's cursed.
I didn't know that until like maybe 2-3 weeks ago. That I was just like, "What the fuck are you talking about thick water?" And then looked, and
Bad.
yeah,
Real bad.
hospitals and sometimes like just some places will just have water that's thickened with like agar gum or whatever for people who can't swallow or are like doing sports and don't have time to like drink. So it's just like basically like drinking honey or like nectar.
Yeah, there's thick water, and then there's, I think they refer to it as edible water. So there are people who, I don't know, yeah, there's the thick water is for like medical stuff. It was a dietary trend because everything that is medical becomes a dietary trend for about 6 months in America. And yeah, it's for people who either like struggle with swallowing or struggle with the texture of water or have sort of disorders that can't, they basically don't like processing
They
it.
use it in the late stages of treating people with rabies because they get the fear of water after a while.
And then edible water is, and I've seen it a couple times, which are self-contained, not bottles of water, but they are essentially like water balloons that they have an edible epidermis, essentially, that is also essentially made out of thick water.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a couple of times where people like holding them out for people on marathons, and it looks like, imagine a completely translucent blob of mozzarella just sitting there, just jiggling, and people just grab it, consume the water in a single slurp.
We have become ants. We can hold the droplet.
Of all the other spin-off content that we need to create, I think a cooking show would be good. Because you guys already have a history of
Yeah,
that.
I have a history of drinking food colouring.
I like the idea of just an honest, pretty low budget, but just like, oh, my mom used to make this and it makes me happy. And just like tell people how to make it. It'd just be the most just out of nowhere, just kind of shit to put on a channel like
funny.
And then it just pans to the background and it's me trying to chug an entire like litre bottle of thickened water coloured with green food colouring.
Alright, gamers. You know, just like really going over the top, and then it's just smash cut with like Bob Ross style cooking, and then you trying to do TikTok shorts, just like
So this is how we bring lunchtime into the modern generation.
we splice it with Ready Steady Cook.
Hell yeah.
And then How To Basic as well at the same time.
Yes, all of those things, all at once.
As of the time of recording, yesterday, I had an interview with someone, and who the entire time during the interview had the footage of Lunchtime 2 up in the background that I have on YouTube, and I had to tell her about when we did Lunchtime 2 together, and the Dorito snorting and
The fucking Dorito. I swear to God, I broke my sinuses doing that.
What an absolute fucking power move. Like, I'm just gonna have an interview with this person. I don't know if it was I'm picturing a job interview. I love the idea of this person. Like, they don't address it ever. They sit you down, it's like, oh, thank you, yeah, pleasure to meet you, Mr. Psycho, you know, shakes hand, you know, sit you down.
Why do you think you have a job at Google?
Yeah, and then just like puts the remote, just clicks it on, and then
I just begin.
So what do you think you could bring to the company?
I just showed you.
I feel like you already know.
Yeah. and they pretend like it's not on. Like the entire time they just look at you. It's like, what do you mean? No, what could you bring to the company? No, seriously. Like, what you know, like,
I don't-
where do you see yourself in 5 years? just in the background.
It's like, can you turn it off? I don't see how that's relevant.
Yeah.
I think you're dodging the question,
Yeah,
Mr.
this
Psycho.
is company time. Can you please not waste it?
Yeah, the fucking lunchtime, what was it, like lunchtime 2/3?
It was lunchtime too, yeah.
I just come over to like basically spec out the uni because I'm like, I want to go to uni. And Fonda was like, hey, you can crash at mine for a night and we could do all that then. So I do that and the house is fucking empty. And we're just like, let's try and make a giant Dorito by smashing up a bag of Doritos and like recombining them in the oven. It did not work, but it gave us enough time to have enough smashed Doritos that I attempted to snort one as a joke because we were filming and went a bit too far. And then for the rest of the day, I was like, my sinuses are really fucking hurt. I can't close my jaw properly. I'm in a lot of pain right now. Holy shit. Do you remember we went to the pub and I was like fucking chewing on my sweater the entire time? So it was like, my jaw hurts so fucking much.
I still don't really know how or why that happened, but
it's living together. Like that, it's something I really miss about like uni time was living together because you just go feral.
Yeah.
It just does that to you. The zoomies kick in, the madness ensues. None of us have attention spans left anymore, and it's just like it's what it is, and it is something that I really miss. I was talking to a friend of ours, and I was just being like, they're currently living on their own, and I was like, damn, I really miss a space which is entirely because I live with someone, and it's like this isn't just mine. It's ours, and so it's a different space. And it made me nostalgic thinking about when, sort of living together, and it's just like, yeah, it's a different feel. It's a totally different vibe. And it was great. Like, I really enjoyed it. And it's something that I miss,
Sharing a place with a partner and sharing a place with a housemate had two different vibes.
Totally. Yeah, totally different.
I really like having my own room and my own space, somewhere I can go to that isn't going to have someone coming into it being like, I'm going to bed now or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really like having someone else in the property that I could be like, I'm going to talk to this person. My current housemate and I have multiple times, I've just sat on the sofa while they're playing like Elden Ring or Dragon's Dogma 2 at the moment, and we've just talked about shit. And I sat down to eat dinner at like 10. I look at the clock, it's 3 in the fucking morning. We have just sat and talked about random shit for 5 hours while he's like jumped in a circle or like fought like a dragon or something. And both of us like, how the fuck did the time go?
Yeah.
Damn.
My current housemate's a really cool guy. Like he's I feel incredibly stupid in his presence because he is a fucking insanely read scholar. He's doing a paper right now on horror and like the image of the cut in terms of both like cutting of film, cutting of a person, and the concept of a cut in terms of horror as part of horror as an element. And I'm just like, bruh, my paper was about how explosions are fucking cool. This is way beyond me. And he's just like, oh no, anyone can do this. I'm just the guy. And I'm like, no, you're clearly not.
It's the grass is greener of intellectualism, which is that you know someone who's in a completely different field talking about something else, and you're like, holy shit, you're way smarter than me. It's like, no, because you know what you know.
Yeah,
like
I guess everyone has their specializations, I suppose.
But it's worth admiring other people's skill sets.
The other element of living with people who are just so different from you, right? And you gain a completely different appreciation for like life and stuff in it when you see it from different perspectives and from people who have different skill sets in that regard.
Yeah.
Like I find that stuff so fascinating, hearing about like what other people are doing and all that kind of stuff.
I don't think they're ever going to hear this, but do you remember one of our old housemates back when we were all in a shared house, fucking Brady Bunch style?
Yeah.
In the middle of our street.
Do you remember that one housemate we had who would get through a box of wine every 2 days?
Yes. Yes,
and
I do.
The bin would just be a stack of boxes of wine, and we'd just be like, Jesus, are they okay?
Yeah, they just drink a lot.
Drink so much. Like, God.
I think
bloody hell, I was genuinely like, holy shit, is that like multiple people doing that? Or is it
just them? I think I don't know where they are now. I think they're still in the UK, but I think they were like thinking about going to America again.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing fine from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah,
fucking hell.
I understand.
Talk about functional alcoholic.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, we had one person who stayed in the room all the time, or was at work all night.
Yeah.
And had a fucking literal fridge in their room that they just buried under a blanket so the landlord didn't know they had it. it.
Yeah.
So they never had to leave their room to get stuff from the fridge because it was already up there. We had a fucking gremlin who would be up till like 2 a.m. with their hostage. Sorry, boyfriend.
No, it was a hostage, definitely.
Because they'll just stay in the room for weeks at a
never
time.
See them. You've never seen
He's
them.
a hostage, I swear.
Like, are they in? And it's totally silent. You're like, I don't even know if they're here because they could be here. They don't make much noise anyway.
God,
No,
it's such a weird collection.
but that's the other fun thing about it, and it's something that I really appreciate about university was just like it throws like-minded weirdos into the same room and says coexist.
Yeah.
Which is both amazing. It can also be terrible, and I admit that I was very lucky in my time that I had a lot of great people around me. But at the same time, I understand that a lot of people don't have that experience. But it is just something that, I found it an immensely useful experience, and I really really enjoyed it. I'd definitely do it again if I could turn back time and do all the same.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, honestly, same.
Yeah,
It was a great time.
Yeah, it's great, and it's wonderful not having to worry about rent because it's been paid.
Exactly.
Well, why don't you sign up for like one of those scholarly backgrounds? Like, shit, go work in the Antarctic base. No, seriously, they have openings on that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You just be like, I could disappear for 8 months.
Yeah, I have a feeling my partner would not be best pleased with me. Actually, no, she'd probably love it. To be fair, and it's 8 months without me, she'd be like, "Yes, fuck off, leave,
Whoa.
get out of here."
Oh my god.
I'll turn back up, and she's like, "Oh, who are you? Like, what are you doing here?" I'm like,
God,
it's been 8 months."
We really have become boomers.
Oh yeah,
I hate my wife.
It's like, yeah, no, don't you remember I went to Antarctica? And then she'd just be like, Kurt Russell? Like, no, that's from a film, darling.
I would constantly be playing that soundtrack through the bass, though. Like, I'd be in absolute terror of just like, right, John Carpenter's OST for The Thing, on.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I can't say I blame you.
I don't know if I could live in, like, absolute darkness for as long as they have to, though.
No. It'd be bad for everything. It's one of the reasons why I'm not particularly keen on picking up night shifts. I know they work for some people just fine, but...
Don't do it. It fucks you up.
I need the sun.
Yeah, don't do it.
Which is why I'm doing so badly in here.
I've seen their like break rooms. They have those fucking UV lamps. Like, they don't have regular lights in there. There are no regular light bulbs in there because, like, no, you'll turn the regular light on if it was in here. You need these UV lamps. I know you hate how they make like their eyes hurt and whatnot, but you need the UV.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. You're getting your dose of vitamin D.
Yeah, it's a fascinating system, but yeah.
This fucking reminds me. This is some time ago, but it was fucking hilarious. Did you hear about the crypto party that went horribly wrong?
Yes, I do.
When was this?
Couple months back? Probably around about Christmas time?
Yeah, I think it was back round...
Maybe not. Maybe I haven't heard of this. Oh,
Please tell us.
So, there's a crypto Web3 influencer party thing in, I think it's like Hong Kong or something like that, right?
I think it was Hong Kong.
And they're like, oh yeah, come down to a cool party, it's going to be great. So, naturally, the majority of the populace there are middle-aged, white, fat guys with no hair, which is just like, oh, cool, this is real going to be a pounding nightclub party here.
Hell yeah, brother.
And then people start saying stuff like, these UV lights are really cool. Everything's cool and shiny and everyone's glowing and neat. I'm going to go back to my hotel to have a little nap and then get ready for the next day. Why do my eyes hurt so much? Why does my skin hurt so much? Why can't I see?
Oh.
More than, I think, like 100 people reported, like, vision problems.
Oh, okay.
Turns out, the UV lamps the people running the event have bought...
From tanning beds?
No, they're for fungicide work.
Oh, fuck. That's way worse.
They were the really high-grade, like, I'm gonna nuke this area of living material UV lights. And they were using them as fucking stage lights, spraying them onto the audience the entire night. People were getting fucking burnt corneas, all sorts. Apparently... not enough of it was permanent damage to warrant a court case. But like, people were like, I can't go home on a plane because I can't fucking see.
God damn.
And it's such a fucking... It's such a fucking microcosm of that sort of entire field of, we're doing something cool and great, and we're not going to do any of the testing.
Yeah, we're going to corner cut the shit out of it.
Because the corners are where they get you. That's where they snag you with the bills and the expense of, what do you mean this is human safe? We don't fucking need that. That's just the big man telling you it. That's regulation. Deregulate everything. Like, I'm all for legalizing nuclear bombs, but like, this is ridiculous.
I like the idea that's just the ending of a Seinfeld episode, you know? It's like, I'm all up I'm gonna legalize illegal abortion, but this is ridiculous. So it says on this cue card, I mean, totally not a cue card, that I'm meant to talk about a postmodern masterpiece getting a sequel, or at least a demo. Like,
well, I think when it was originally being revealed, it was looking like so much was going into that it was a sequel.
Yeah.
It's more like a overhaul.
Complete rebuild from the ground up, I'd say.
Yeah.
Wait, no, hang on. No. Sorry. Is it not a sequel?
It's not the YIIKquel, no. I said it, I didn't get tased! Whoa!
Are we free? Can I
No.
say?
I don't think you can.
Alright.
So,
No.
so why does it exist?
Simply put, because the devs really cared about it and they really wanted to keep giving it another shot, because they did a 1.1 update and a 1.2 update, and 1.2 was very much another sort of we're going to take these really specific criticisms that big YouTube videos kind of talked about, and we're specifically going to look at them. And then when that
they had a monologue reduction button that cut out half the monologues he had.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
But
they had a button that turned off being able to let Rory die. That was
yeah,
added in really early.
the golden alpaca got completely changed from its original weird sort of thing, and
They took it from a funny Earthbound enemy to a fucking Sephiroth clone, and it's very interesting.
yeah.
Do you know what I really like about this conversation so far?
Go on.
This could be two people improving a game to me.
Yeah.
Someone,
It feels like one.
You guys are just yes-anding a fake game that I have never played or understood and doesn't exist.
It's kind of how it feels,
Yeah.
to be honest. Honestly, I feel like if we were going into the big details on Y2K, I had to stop myself, then we could be here for a very long time. But
I think the point we started fighting stop signs who only ever say stop
yeah.
was when I was like, this game is fucking absurd.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing, but recently the 1.5 or I.V update is very much...
I'll get into that in a minute. Go
Yeah,
on.
is pretty much them going okay, even with these updates, people still don't like the combat. We sped it up, but we literally sped it up. We didn't design it differently. They just went,
Okay.
fine, completely different combat system. We're gonna try and recontextualize some of Alex YIIK's monologuing bits. To ensure that there's an actual framing device for why they're so absurd and long and everything.
So now instead of him just standing blankly staring into the wall and saying long things, it cuts to a smoky-filled cafe, and he's sitting there with a mic talking to an open audience, and it's
Those poor bastards.
it's actually really interesting and kind of a neat way of framing, because he skips over some things that he had to go through levels to do. Half the fucking puzzle map for dealing with the chemical plant. Which I think you've already got through. The chemical hotel.
The hotel factory.
Yeah, they make it into a platformer. Out of the blue, it just becomes a platformer for a few minutes, and it's I didn't expect that from this.
Yeah.
It's got a very Hilux feel to it now, and I'm quite happy about that.
That is a name I have not heard in a long time.
That's the thing that came to my mind first, because the positive they heard a lot of people say is, hey, these particular parts of the game are really weird in a way I kind of dig. If Y2K was more like this, I'd be liking it more. And so they went, alright.
You want to go down the acid trip? Here we go.
And they leaned into it really hard.
Fair.
And I think my current takeaway from the prologue that they've released at this time is, this is not a game for me, but I'm so glad it's got an identity now. It already kind of did. I actually... Alright, this is the brain rot completely setting in.
Yeah.
I do kind of think Y2K is distinct enough that it is kind of iconic as an indie game. People, when it initially came out, people were like, this is just going to be another fucking Earthbound clone.
Yeah, there's 1,000,001 It Sucks RPG Maker games.
Yeah.
That was not an It Sucks RPG Maker game. There was some heart or some intent behind it.
The original version of Y2K wasn't good, but
No,
I think I
awful.
agree. I do genuinely think it was a passion project. I genuinely think the people making for it were a little bit misguided in some areas, but they really cared about what they were making. And now that the prologues come out a bit more, it's not just doing generic RPG combat. It's got a weird attack defense system, which has
It's Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's not. You see, this is what you told me about, and I thought, oh shit, has it got a Yu-Gi-Oh combat system? I'm kind of down for that. It's not Yu-Gi-Oh.
Fuck you, it's Yu-Gi-Oh.
It has the general attack defend sort of like things in RPGs, but the idea is that every character has like a deck of cards that are like a shield.
Okay.
They can either play those cards to do like a special move or a big attack or something like that, or they keep them on them so it protects them against enemies.
Okay.
Shields have particular vulnerabilities and defenses against particular attack types, and the order that you put them in, you have 3, dictate like the order your shields go.
Right.
So you could put your really strong attack at the back and have that be the last one to get chipped at, but it's also likely going to be your strongest defense as well. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also a thing with the health, which I'm actually a lot less into, which is that when you do actually get, when your cards break and you actually get hit, there's then a bleed system where as the kind of turns go on, you're bleeding your health back. So you can use bandages to stop yourself from bleeding, or you can heal yourself to get those life points back. You can't really do both unless there's an item that does later. I did not get very far.
I believe bandages just do it.
Yeah. Oh, do they? Yeah, they just stop healing bleeding.
They also give you a multitude uses of the bandage card, which lets you do another attack as it basically takes up a card slot. Bandage times 3 fills up a whole rack. So if you lose all your cards, it will just fill up all of them with bandage, which will then absorb an attack and stop you from bleeding and give you a new attack you can use.
Yeah. Without this being like too much of like a big review of the game, it's basically there's like 2 quite distinct layers of the combat now that I do actually think are quite interesting, and them leaning into the really surrealist imagery is kind of fun. And I'm quite happy about that, because it's a case of we talk about how games, they have a shit launch and then they gradually get better and as they get updates and things like that.
They can do, yeah.
Well, they can do, yeah. You could be a No Man's Sky, or you could
be a Starfield.
Is it too early to say? Do you think they're not gonna do much more with it?
I don't think they are.
I mean, look at historically how many updates non-live service Bethesda games have got.
True, yeah.
So, yeah.
Fucking Elder Scrolls Online just keeps going.
It's been 10 years and they're finally releasing a patch of Fallout 4 to fix some of the quest bugs.
Oh,
wow, 10 years, huh?
10 whole
Took a TV show coming out for you to actually give a shit about this.
Yeah.
That one guy working on Fallout 4.
They probably just got the fucking anti-crash patch and just like, oh yeah, cool, just get this mod and install it. Like how the shotguns in Starfield work.
Oh?
The single loading shotguns in Starfield, anything that loads by the round, uses a mod from Fallout 4. Yeah.
Funny.
Someone made a mod for the fucking like hunting rifle you can get, the lever action rifle you can get in that game, had like a bug where it would load every round every time you reloaded it, even though you've only fired like 2 shots. And they were like, how the fuck is this like this? But New Vegas had partial reloads. How do you fuck up your reload mechanic this much that you can't do a partial reload? And someone made a mod to like patch that in basically, and it required a lot of weird looping around and hooks and shit that are very distinctive and noticeable. So when Starfield came out, people started modding it. They were like, wait a fucking second, this is that modder's signature.
They've just
My God, they've literally just taken it and been like, it's ours now. And they're allowed to, but they're fucking ELA.
That's what I was wondering, if the Creation Club thing, if there's like a clause in there that says, yeah, we technically own your code or something.
It's not even a Creation Club mod, that's the thing.
Oh, is it?
It's like a Nexus one.
Oh.
But if you mod their game, their user license is, well, we can take that and use it for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's ours now. No pay for you, fuck you.
Great. You know what they would say to that if people actually made like a stink about it? They'd go, well, we made a version of that was more user friendly to you with the Steam mods being sold, and then we'd be like, shut up, that was still a bad idea.
Yep.
Bethesda should just stop allowing mods on their games, because it would actively force people to it would force people to give them the criticism they actually deserve, rather than the overarching.
Well, it could be better if you mod it.
But that's an attitude that the actual fucking developers have gotten into a sense of. Like they are
taking literal mods to make their games work.
But also there are reels of like interview where Emil Pagliarulo is just admitting, oh yeah, well we were going to add sort of like all this kind of stuff, but we knew people were going to mod it in. Like I wanted to add for the stealth system all the stuff from Thief, like the water arrow and all that kind of shit. It's like, no, we knew people were going to mod it in, and they did. Like there is clips of him saying these words, and it's like, to be fair, I can see that being a total discussion that is not evil, and not like, oh, we're trying to nickel and dime everyone, but it's just a case of like...
from a dev team's perspective, if this feature is going to be made by the audience after the fact, and they're not going to complain that it's missing, why do we bother making it?
Yeah, exactly.
We
so
can
I can
save
understand
so
that.
much dev time knowing that someone else will do it for us afterwards.
But it has caused an entrenched attitude in the studio that essentially just means we don't have to make complete and actually like functional shit or like content rich shit or
like
they are sure taking the shit.
I think all three of us very much understand that game dev is hard. I don't think any of us want to rile on developers for like struggling to make these things, especially massive projects with deadlines where eventually these things will come out and not everything will be working. But when it becomes an attitude and a response to a question or query like that, I feel like that just becomes like an entrenched idea of, oh, who gives a fuck? Like, someone will mod it if they do.
Also, frankly, we wouldn't be having this conversation if those games were good.
Yeah!
Like, if those games were good from stealing, it would be a different conversation.
No one... How many people make the point on Soulstorm of, oh, no, Soulstorm's really good with mods? No one says that about Dark Crusade. They just say Dark Crusade is good.
Yeah, Dark Crusade is just good.
It's crazy, that, isn't it?
Oh, God.
I mean, there are games that are platforms for fantastic mods.
Yeah.
Like, shit, Unreal Engine in general basically was a platform for fantastic mods from the get-go. But, like, Factorio, for example, there are some mods that I never play that game without. Like Factoria Missio, I think it's called. The one that lets you have, like, building factories where you can put stuff inside of them and it's, like, recursive. I cannot play the game without that just because I like how clean and simplified it makes my factories.
Well, but as a company, you just do what like a lot of these indie guys do, because I'm pretty sure the Factorio devs do it as well, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yep.
Like Project Zomboid, people make Project Zomboid, they integrate mods and give them official credit in their game. It's just like, this was so good and so downloaded and all that kind of stuff. Yep, we are including it. It's a shitload quicker. We have sometimes they settle with the person, sometimes they don't, and then they're just like, we'll just slap your credit in. You helped make this game. Well done. As opposed to mine.
Yeah.
Just taking it.
One of the most popular mods for Factorio is essentially a space tier where you can go to space and go to other planets and sort of spread around like that. The next DLC, or rather the first DLC for Factorio, is that. Just straight up, they're like, we like that mechanic.
Yeah.
Here's the ability to build a factory in space and deal with space stuff and go to different planets.
Yeah.
Because we loved what that mod did, but we have a full development team and artists and like 3D modelers and shit. We can actually make it look decent and not just be like, welcome to a sea that is space. But video games, they're interesting.
Oh my god, why did you at the Oracle? Why have you given us double the questions?
Fuck you.
Oh god. Sorry, I just opened the Oracle to see what our benefactors have to say, and now we've doubled our question count.
Yes!
It's a fucking war!
The voices from outside!
Well, alright everyone, I hope you've been enjoying the show. We are now going to answer your questions.
Yay!
This one's coming from Freed, who asked quite a few questions in the episode 6. Slightly weird phrasing here. What's a piece of media that you felt different after finishing? I don't know if they mean a game that made you feel different when you finished it, or a game that you felt different about after you finished it. Like, you felt one way during it, and then you felt completely different about it afterwards.
I'm going to go with a former, a game that changed me. I'm going to say probably Hacknet.
Yeah?
I'm a big nerd for hacking sims. We can love me up, Link. Love me, Hacker Evolution. But Hacknet had a really, really impactful storyline, and the motifs of death being overlaid with the motif of deleting files was really impactful, and it made me look back at like all the stuff I've deleted over the years and being like, wow, yeah, I've really expunged a lot of who I am from what I've got left. That's a weird one. That hit me in a funny place.
Oh, that's completely fair. I have a negative example.
Go for it.
Skyrim. And it's kind of in the wrong way, which was that I got to the end of Skyrim, did quite a few of the guild quests, and got to a point where I was enjoying the game for like a good chunk of that time. And then I got to my sort of end game point of, right, I've saved the world, I've done all this guild stuff, I've done a whole bunch of things in the game, and it doesn't feel different. This world doesn't give a shit about the fact that I'm the chosen one. It doesn't give a shit about the fact that I saved them from Armageddon, because the battle in Sovngarde is so separated from the material world of that game that it's like, no one fucking knew what I did. there's still dragons everywhere. Like, there's very little actual impact on the game, and as a result of that, I think that was the first game that I felt hollow after I finished. Just because every other Elder Scrolls game I've played, whether that be Morrowind or Oblivion or anything like that, by the end of it, I've been like, wow, I had a really good time with that. And with Skyrim, I also had a good time with it, but by the end of it, I'm just like, no one cares. I know these are pixels, I know these are code,
Yeah.
but there's at least an illusion from the Oblivion NPCs walking around being like, I'm a jolly little guy. Oh, you're the hero of the Grand Champion of Cyrodiil.
Yeah.
And there's at least that. Whereas the most you get from Skyrim is, you have a really big hammer. Fuck off. Great.
So I have an answer to, I think, each variant of the question.
Mm-hmm.
So the first interpretation being, game you started playing felt one way about, and then changed the way you felt afterwards. Being Halo Reach.
Oh, yeah.
My history with games is non-internet. No multiplayer or anything like that, but also no internet media, no interaction with the wider gamer community for a long, long time. I was always a generation behind, at least, with consoles growing up.
I was until, 2009.
Yeah. And so eventually, when I started, I think I did some sort of job, or when I was 16, or I did something, and we got 360, I was like, cool, what games buy? Minecraft was one that we got. The Alien vs. Predator game for the 360, which I really enjoyed.
I thought that one's alright.
Yeah, I just love that franchise. And the other was Halo Reach. Having known what Halo is, I played Halo 2 on the original Xbox, so I know what I'm getting into. So I was just like, this is going to be fun, shooty game. And then Halo Reach happened. I played it, and it was a lot more somber. This is also before a time where I actually watched... I was into, World War documentaries and all that kind of stuff. Didn't watch the films. So the whole trope of heroic sacrifice and shit was not something that I had experienced yet.
Yeah.
And so everything in Reach felt really fresh to me. I imagine it's what people felt when they did when they played Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah.
Like, yay, shooty bang bang game. Oh no. You know.
Yeah.
I got a lot more respect for the medium and all that kind of stuff, and for it as a piece of media. So that is a game that I've changed opinions on from start to finish, because, like I said, it was a completely different product at the end of it. A product that inevitably changed me would have been the original Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that doing that.
Oh, well, it was that, and the fact that it was during the period of my parents breaking up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so, at the time, our gaming setup was, in the most distant room in the house.
Yeah.
And what I used to do is I used to take my younger brother, because they'd fight. They'd get violent, and it's right, we are going to the farthest room in the house with a games console in it.
Yeah.
And
Blasting it out as loud as possible.
Yeah. And so a lot of the stuff I played from start to finish, Final Fantasy VII, and with all the twists and turns that has, and that inevitably changed who I was, but also on the story and all that kind of stuff. Really, really enjoyed it. It was the first true gaming experience that I really had. It was one of the first games I actually finished as well.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's so fucking long.
Yeah.
Actually, you mentioning that reminded me of Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 40. Or 30, I forget what. Road to the Hill with the number.
Okay.
For me as a little kid, I grew up on Medal of Honor and Doom and whatnot. And the whole idea of I am a cool action guy that can never have an emotion, and everyone else around me can die, but they're not important because they're not really characters. They're events that allow me to continue shooting more dudes with my cool gun. And then I play that game, and one of the scenes in it is a character screaming, shooting a handgun at a tank and saying, "Come and get me," because he's fucking lost it, and he's just wants death. And then him getting blown in half by a tank shell, and me being that could happen to people. What?
Yeah. It's funny because I was gonna talk about Battlefield 1 as a product. I have so mixed feelings because the opening of Battlefield 1 is
so powerful.
It's a great opening. And then immediately it's funny multiplayer game, and it's I love Battlefield 1. I thought it was really fun and all that kind of stuff, but it was such a weird sort of change up. And
definitely.
I'm glad they did it though. I'm glad they had their opening where they did pay the respects, and from everything that I played, the campaigns were good, although short. But yeah, it was just so funny to have that immediate juxtaposition of just like, sorry, dude, I'll join multiplayer in a minute. I've just got to finish this poignant, emotional story about how the First World War was a meaningless slaughter.
Yeah.
And I'll get right to that
No one
meaningless
wanted
slaughter.
to be there.
Yeah. I'll be there soon, bro. I'll get
I run around injecting people in the buttocks to kill them because it's funny.
or to res them, depending on whose team they were.
Yeah.
What colour is your uniform, son? That'll tell you if this kills you or not.
We now have a question from Yan. Do any of you have a setting you greatly enjoy and wish was more popular that isn't? Like the lore of an obscure game that could have provided many more stories and games set in the same universe.
Oh my fucking god, I have an answer for this immediately. Holy
Of course
shit.
you do. Of course you do.
Outpost 2. The Outpost series in general, I think, is a series that could have really been grown. The idea of humanity literally on the run, not on the run from like something following them like a disaster, but like a creature or something, but like their own failings. Outpost 2's entire plotline is we get to a planet, it's not good enough for the human race, but it's livable, and the ship we're on can't go any further. So we just colonize it. And then in our attempts to like speed up terraformation of it, we fuck up the planet and then we have to leave again. And every time it's like, humanity just does not know how to fucking deal with a planet. We are terrible at this. They end it in a really fucking great way that really points to this could have a sequel, this could have a future, this could have something to it, and it never goes anywhere because it was a lackluster CNC clone gameplay wise.
Yeah.
The setting is fucking phenomenal, and I'm really sad that like any future space colony games we get try to lean either into being Civilization or Theme Hospital, but in space.
Yeah.
A lot of the colony sim games are like that, where it's like very limited space, and you have to like put down facilities and people in them. I like the idea of building, like, essentially taking RTS mechanics of building up a city and building, just focusing on the building a city and maintaining like damage control on that via RTS mechanics.
Yeah.
I think that could work really well if it was more refined and more explored, but that series is fucking dead. Sierra's gone, so it's not going anywhere now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It had a novella that came with it, and it was really good as well.
Aw. In terms of that, I am really struggling to think of an answer. The first thing that comes to my mind is maybe not for the right reasons, which is it'd be kind of cool if the lore that was being built around XCOM 2 had been a little bit more popular. Not so much because I wanted more people to see it, but more that I wanted more authors to write more stories in that setting.
Oh yeah, there's a lot you could do with that.
Because I think the ones I have read, I have 2 of the novelizations on my shelf. Wasn't very fond of them because they didn't really...
Don't you love the switch that pours lava? The lava switch, you know, her fucking dwarf fortress ass defense system.
Oh yeah, fucking. But it was a concept for a world I really liked, and I just wasn't that fond with the way that it was taken. So if there were more authors or more people that were willing to push it more in the way that I would have liked, I would have been really happy with it. But as it stands, not really. I think you're contemplating.
I am. I'm desperately trying to think of some small setting that I really wish had more development, and the small settings that I like work best because they are small.
Yeah, this is something I was thinking about as well.
Like, you can make as many sequels as you want to something, but that can eventually it can run the setting too thin. It can introduce elements that are clutter. I don't know. I can't really think of one.
Yeah, there's not many cases, honestly, where I feel like a story that I've engaged with and really enjoyed has been one where I'm like, I want more of this in like a gluttonous way. It's more of a thing of, I appreciate this at this scope, and if it was more popular, I think the mystique would be gone if it tried to do too much with itself and that kind of thing. So
the closest I get to feeling like I would want more of a setting or a world is D&D.
Yeah.
Genuinely, it's like it's a window into my friends' souls. It's a co-op experience, something we all enjoy. Like, that's the only thing I really want more of, but that's not really the kind of quest.
Yeah,
it's
already pretty fucking popular.
Like I assume you mean specifically from people's games,
yes,
not
not
the actual D&D mythos.
No,
which I gotta be frank, I don't give much of a...
No, I don't care about that. It's more a case of like every DM I have ever played with has always had an area they wish the players had gone to.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that would have been awesome.
Publish the fucking Draken-like campaign book.
Sure. let me get some cash under my belt so I can just spend ages working on that, and I gladly would. And to pay several artists.
But yeah, I don't have a proper answer really.
We now have another question here. Do you like games where you can choose a side? For example, The Lord of the Rings Battle of Middle-earth, where you can choose a good campaign or evil campaign.
This question is from Witcher122. Honestly, I love games where you can choose a side because I'm an RTS head. I like the idea of being able to pick which faction I want to play as because there's more game.
Yeah.
Like, it's an easy button for more game. You've already made them to be the enemy. Why aren't you allowed to play them?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like having a morality system and being able to choose at the beginning, like, good or evil, pick your choice, is like, yeah.
I think there's good ways and bad ways.
Yeah.
I much prefer the factionalism side of things, although there is something refreshing about being able to choose a cartoonishly evil side.
Yeah.
I think that is quite fun, like in the Lord of the Rings example of being able to just choose to be the forces of the ring.
Saruman and friends go on their wild ride.
Yeah, I think it's great. In other cases where they try to do faux morality, like in Fire Emblem Fates, I think it's fucking terrible. Especially when that choice in that particular instance is what game you buy. Because they spend the entire time going, surely you would have liked to have been friends with us on the other side of the war, and it's like, no, because I would have had to have spent another 40 quid. Mm-hmm. So, no thanks.
Yeah, it is entirely based on how you do it and how well it's been done. Overall, I'd agree with White and say that, yeah, if it's more game, if it's a button for more game and it makes the game good, or it's more good game, then yeah. But there are examples of games that sort of do morality systems bad. You got Fable and all that kind of shit, and it's just a case of, like, sometimes that content isn't great if you don't have fantastic writers. If you have people who just really struggle writing an evil side that has no redeeming qualities, or have no reason for me to sympathize with them, or no reason for me to want to play them. Like, again, cartoonishly evil is fun if there's the element of cartoonish, because cartoons are funny. Obviously not literally, but you know what I mean. Like, there is a reason people play Night Lords in 40k.
Yeah.
They are cartoonishly evil. Then you think about them for a little bit and like, wow, they're really cool. Then you think about them more. Oh my god, they're even more cartoonishly stupid.
Yeah.
And it's an Ouroboros of enjoyment when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But I like having those choices, but only in games where, one, it fits, and two, it's done well. I would not play a version of Halo Reach that had a Covenant campaign.
No, it'd just be a sweep. Maybe not entirely a sweep, but it wouldn't be as great if it
You
didn't...
could write interesting things about it, but it would be antithetical to what I feel is the message and the style of the game. To be like, wow, imagine just like the ending of Reach, and you're sitting with that realization, and then it goes back to the menu screen and says, pick next faction.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of don't...
Mission objective, kill 50 civilians.
Yeah. It's really important to the type of game you make, right?
Exactly.
I think I agree with you on that one.
I would really enjoy a Halo game set during the Schism, though, where you play almost exclusively as elites.
Yeah, I think that would work. If you
like-
if you focused it around that, I think you could do something really good on that.
Maybe have a few ODSTs in so you can have a few, Cuban player faction moments. Maybe they've dropped in to try and help with like a conflict and just been like, there's a fucking religious war going on!
Speaking of ODSTs, this question comes from Raziel Martellus 96. Saw you recently decided to start delivering democracy in Helldivers.
Yeah.
What vibe does the game make you feel the most? 40k, Starship Troopers, ODST, or some wildcard franchise? Now, to me, I think there's a very big difference between the details and the vibe of a game. Like, some people get hung up on one over the other, and I'm very much a vibes guy, so that's something that kind of draws me into a lot of settings. If we are talking solely by vibes, Starship Troopers movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's really trying to do that. I know that the actual background of Super Earth isn't that close to Starship Troopers.
It's literally Terminator 2 and Starship Troopers had a baby.
Yeah.
You can go fight the future war, or you can go fight the bug war.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I think it's very much trying to do the Paul Verhoeven sort of thing, especially with the score and the way that the opening is and everything like that. That's what makes me think of.
Yeah, the only thing I would potentially add in there is that if it wasn't for the practical elements of it, gives me a big Colonial Marines from Aliens vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Because they themselves were based off,
Yeah.
Starship Troopers as well. They've got the same fucking helmet, pretty much.
Men just want to be put into a metal box and shot at a planet.
Yep.
Screaming as they flow down to blow up things in the name of whatever they believe in.
Hell yeah.
That's what we want.
Another question here from Epsilon. Have you ever played the Total War franchise? If something other than the Warhammer ones, which one is your favourite? If you've only played the Warhammer ones, what's your favourite faction and why?
I cannot answer this question.
Fair.
So that's a no. That's completely fair.
So
Yeah.
I would answer that, Total War, the Warhammer ones are my favourites of the Total War games. I did enjoy Total War Rome back in the day. I played a bit of Shogun, and then it's almost all Total Warhammer. Total War Warhammer 2 is a much better game on its own. Of the three, I find it the most complete so far.
Yeah.
Obviously, CA are going through their own stuff right now, which is sad to hear.
Yeah.
But they have within the last...
I have a friend who lost their job to that.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, it's sad. But within the last week, they have raised the Thrones of Decay sort of trailer. So the work that person probably was doing is coming out from the company. We'll see how Total War 3 pans out. But yeah, Total War Warhammer 2 is probably my favourite of all of them. I don't know what my favourite faction answer would be, though, for Total War 2.
It's tough for me, and I'm trying not to be a basic bitch, but I can't help myself. I think it's Empire.
Oh my god.
I try not to. I try not to
go
be
with,
it.
like, the fault of everyone's funny, which is Skaven.
Yeah, but I mean, Skaven are really fun. I think the way I justify it to myself is, alright, the Empire are Renaissance fantasy rather than medieval fantasy, so at least they're a little bit different from most human factions in fantasy settings.
Are you going to go full basic and say that it is Karl Franz? That is the Verge...
The Nation Calls.
The Nation Calls, alright.
Yeah.
Seraphon or Skaven, a lot of fun. A good Orc campaign is fun, but also Taurox. I do like my boy.
You love your boy.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Lizardmen because I am a child and dinosaurs are cool.
Dinosaurs are cool. Don't be ashamed. That's what makes a Lizardmen fucking radical, and also some fun lore. But this question is from Cobra the Iron Warrior. Did you ever get a chance to try any of the Armored Core titles?
I have in passing, but never really got my teeth stuck into them. I've always wanted to, and now that the new one's out, I'm kind of like, I might give it a go, but at the same time, I'm a little bit... I'm not sure if I want to play a human kebab operating a giant tank. No, I'm bullshitting. I definitely want to play it.
I've always been tempted to try and play one of the older ones that have the ridiculous big controllers, but as for the new one, I think I need to get more familiar with Souls-likes first before I jump into that.
I feel like that's the common pitfall that a lot of people fell into, but yeah, I think it's more of an attitude with those games. Like, From Software games that are hard are very much... you don't quite realise how, big air quotations, easy a lot of modern games are on their normalist difficulty, and until you get used to just live, die, repeating. I've never played any of the Armored Cores. Interested in them, yes. They just were never accessible. Actually, fuck. I think I did play one on PS2. I think I played the PS2 one. Yeah. I think the same one that Germa played, where the origin of the Greedy Grinner is from. If that is an Armored Core game, I think I played that one. Yeah.
Also, I think you might have just made a slight mistake there. It wasn't Armored Core that had the cool big controller. It was Steel Battalion.
That's Steel Battalion.
Steel Battalion! Right,
Steel Battalion is a ridiculous sounding game with the controller.
Supposedly does work with it, though, since it's basically a USB peripheral.
Yeah, it's like you're controlling a Saturn rocket. It's
got like little flight sticks and a throttle and everything.
Hell yeah, I think...
very cool.
Did that series die after the Kinect one then?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, from what I understand, that was the last time I heard from it.
That makes sense. You take away the controller and everything stops working.
Yeah.
Crazy that.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for the question. Good name.
I know you're a based Iron Warriors fan. Speaking of the Iron Warriors, this question comes from Warsmith Wolf.
Yes, there are dozens of us.
Which Command & Conquer unit has the best and or most memorable voice lines, either overall or by individual game? RTS units in general would also work.
Damn, that is a fucking tough question. Fuck me.
Yeah, you're asking for me to do that with the entire bloody genre. That's really hard.
I mean, there is obviously the fucking General, our lines are great. The enemy has an anthrax bomb and I'm going to shit.
Sanction Psyker.
Sanction Psyker is fucking great.
Pretty iconic. It's iconic with the old Sanction Psyker.
You're asking me to pin one down right now, Sanction Psyker.
The unit that got me wanting to do voice acting, and I can never do his voice, which makes me very sad, was the fucking Nod engineer from CNC3. The fucking, oh, I like it. Oh, we could use one of those. He's the most smug fucking Transformers villain-ass sounding motherfucker on the planet. Oh, yes. Ooh, I'm so evil.
There are so many good...
Oh, the fucking quad track as well. Fucking Don't push me. He's so mad. He's so bitter.
Oh god,
From any RTS though, yeah, I mean Dawn of War, Dark Crusade, it's got to be something on there.
I'd even say flipping Total War Warhammer has some amazing ones.
It does. It really does. Maybe Guardsmen.
Yes,
The
they're
standard Guardsmen's
really good.
There are some great.
The standard
Some of the
Space
screaming
Marines
are pretty
as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
just the tactical Marines.
Good old Brian Dobson. This question comes from Safety8864.
Mm-hmm.
Wanna draw? Ooh woo.
Oh, please. That's an OO.
Oh.
Is in.
And I tried to make funny animation things for my videos.
I'd love to be able to draw.
No, I'm not outing my accounts.
You can't do it.
You can't make me.
This question comes from Slav Next Door.
Oh my.
Have you played the Stalker games and are you looking forward to the new title?
I love the Slav next door. He's such a cool guy.
Slavy. Can I call you Slavy? Yes. And yes. Very much so. I was a bit worried when they had that whole, like, meta-humans thing during its early, like, financial... Like, they were trying to push, like, a meta-verse buy a character in the game thing, which was a bit fucking weird.
Yeah.
I felt like they were, like, doing buzzword bingo to try and get investors, but then... Now they're being basically financed pretty much independently. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the storyline of the new one. From what I've gathered, from what I've dug up, we seem to be playing previously a Monolith member.
Mm-hmm.
So someone who has, like, a reason to have the video game amnesia, other than, whoopsie, I guess I have amnesia now, which most of the characters seem to have. Our character actually has been part of, like, the murder cult that has killed a lot of people. And it's like, oh, I made a fuck up. I made a foxy woxy. So, that could be fun. The original games are great. I'm going to be a heathen and say Call of Protect was my favourite. I know it's smaller. I know it's not as detailed. I liked how refined and, like, directed it was. Fight me.
Also, the book by Stragatsky is
Yep,
good.
also very good. And a movie.
It seems like a game that I would honestly really enjoy because when I've sort of like I remember watching Fresh stream it several years ago and it seems like the kind of just sort of like go through the wilderness, pack a couple things, manage your inventory and do a few bits and pieces. I think I would actually quite enjoy it as a sort of as a game to kind of sink my teeth into. So it's one that's definitely on my waiting list.
It's the vibe, you know? It's exactly what it is. It's something that I catch glimmers of from Tarkov and that kind of stuff that is, again, very inspired by those games.
It's a post-apocalyptic camping sim.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Fresh, he has asked a question here. If you had to choose a series to get a revival, would it be Command & Conquer or Age of Empires?
Oh, fucking hell.
Now, I'm going to predicate this by saying Age of Empires 2 is on my top 10 of favourite games entirely. Command & Conquer.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Deserves it. Like, listen.
AoE's had more recent entries, hasn't it?
Yeah, Age of Empires 4 came out not too long ago, and Age of Empires 2 keeps getting and support.
Yeah.
Command & Conquer, I want back. More.
Well, I mean, they recently published, like, all of it onto Steam. Like,
Yeah.
they dumped the entire CNC archive, like, library onto Steam at ridiculous prices, and the entire franchise filled the new and trending and top sellers for, like, a week. Red Alert 2 was in, like, the top 3 for that entire period.
Hell
A
yeah.
lot of people really fucking like those games, and getting them off of Origin, where they realistically fucking suck. Because you have to do the Origin launcher bullshit.
Origin's still alive.
Yeah, it's now an
Barely.
EA app, so
Yeah.
Okay.
they have their own store for handling their shit. I really, really fucking want a remake of Tib's Son and Red Alert 2. And I love the fact that they are so polar opposites in terms of their theming and their styling and their colorization. Like, Tib's Son is so gritty and dark. And then fucking Red Alert 2 is just like, I'm going to blow up Chicago in 10 minutes if you don't stop me.
The psychic wizards twiddling their moustaches in the bright green.
That is
Hollywood
what I would
hills.
want. Yeah, that is the kind I would want from if they did get another game. You know, that I would want psychotic space wizards and Tim Curry and all of that. You know?
Yeah, if we got new games, continue with that styling. Get us another Red Alert, to be honest. I think that
I want to know how the communists are doing in space.
Mr. Aquila asks, did you ever have a looter shooter / action RPG that was your crack?
Borderlands 1. I hate to admit it, but me and my friend Goonie, don't know where he is right now, but me and my friend Goonie, like, blitzed that game when it came out. And then Borderlands 2 came out, and we started that, and we were both like, this game kind of sucks. And we stopped, like, halfway through.
Yeah. I'm struggling to think of an answer for this because it's not necessarily a genre that I really got that into.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat there. I was going to say, how loose are we getting because of Tarkov? Because you loot people and you shoot people, but I wouldn't call that a loot shooter.
Yeah.
You know, it's not Borderlands.
You get like a +1 magazine.
Yeah.
You can get the banana mag, though. It's very funny.
It's very funny. I, honestly, probably Vermintide too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thinking about it in my head, I'm thinking about there was a period of time when a lot of the content was out for that, and my friends were playing it a lot. And so it just became, let's do it. And you get sort of into the build making. It is not a perfect game, and I have my own opinions on Fat Shark. But in terms of actual compulsion to want to keep playing it, if we want to be strict about genre classification, I'd probably say, Vermintide 2. That really had its hooks for me for a long time.
Makes sense, yeah. We have a question from Wanty23. I might probably say that one. Yanti. Yuanti23? D&D Snake.
Snake person.
Which do you think more is fun or find yourself coming back to more often? Minecraft or Terraria? They're both really good.
They're both
Minecraft.
Really good. Yeah,
Minecraft I played a week ago.
I want to play more Terraria at some point. I know they keep making final updates for the last 10 years, but it's one of those games where it's like, I need to get a group of like-minded people to also be like, yes, I want to play Terraria, and then just blitz through it in a multiplayer sesh. Because that's the best way to experience that game in my mind, is just to play with some people and just fucking goon around and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Put it this way, as soon as I heard the question, my brain went, God, I really would like to play some Minecraft right now. It didn't go like, oh, no, I haven't played Terraria in ages. Like, no, I think it's vibe. Again, it's a case of just like, one is a lot more relaxed and relaxing, although I would probably...
Terraria is a lot more combat-centric.
I would probably get less hooked in Minecraft, but it's the one that I would go back to.
Yeah.
That's probably why you go back to it, is you can play it for a bit and be like, I'm going to have that Minecraft weekend.
Yeah.
And then be like, well, I'll get back to work, and then you forget your save, and then you just do it again in 6 months' time.
That's what I'm like.
That,
like
The
every
Witcher,
couple of years.
Skyrim, Fallout 4.
Without the fucking 60 gigabyte downloads you have to wait 2 days for.
Yeah. It's why I have to do Dark Souls games in single settings, because otherwise I will just let them rot, and then it's like, well, now I have to start again.
God, I have so many games on my hard drive just currently just sitting there like, I need to play this so I can uninstall it.
So the question about Command and Conquer units, someone did give an answer in the same chat, which was GLA worker man who needs shoes as meds.
Yes, absolutely. He needs those shoes.
We have a question from Donny-Eyed411, which is, my question is, out of all the Warhammer games you have played, what one would you recommend? Dawn of War.
Dawn of War. No,
Which
Mechanicus.
Which one?
Oh, Dark Crusade.
Correct.
DC is probably the best choice out of them.
God, I'm trying to think.
I would recommend Mechanicus. I know it's basically just a weird mechanicked XCOM, but
Say no more.
I fucking love it. I really enjoy its mechanics. I really enjoy its styling.
Yeah.
I have two answers. The first one is Total War Warhammer 2, because it is the most complete and best experience you can have of the old world.
I agree with that.
Even though the game is back after all these years, somehow Palpatine has returned and he is in the shape of Old Hammer. I would recommend that as a complete thing, and to be honest, because it vaguely deals with the end times but not quite, it is your best primer for AOS as the game that you can now play, and out of the two, I would recommend that. The second part of that, though, is that I'm trying to think of, that is a very niche sort of recommendation. If you want something that has a very accurate feel to what popularist Warhammer would be, it's Darktide. Yeah! It's not perfect, but it nails the feel of the 40k universe to an extent. Even though it doesn't have any Marines in it.
Yeah, and that makes what makes it based.
Yeah.
Why are you using that term so
It's his favourite term.
Did I use it earlier?
Yeah, you said it twice earlier.
What?
It's alright. He'll learn the word Riz, and then
I think I'm being possessed by something.
The Zoomer within. The Zoomer
It is
within.
incredibly good because of the lack of Marines, I think.
The second they do introduce a Space Marine to it, it will give so much context for how the people in that game feel, because it shouldn't be a playable character. It should be something that turns up in the world like they used to in Rogue Trader, and you're just looking up on a 9-foot tall giant like, oh.
It should be a boss fight. a single
Possibly.
Chaos Marine.
Yeah, well,
That
you
would
just
be-
lose. You just
Yeah.
Single Chaos Marine versus your 4 guys, and it's the most intense fight possible, would really make you realize how fucking horrifying those guys are.
Yeah, I would want them as a non-player character if they are an enemy, sure, but just like
Make it like Mr. X, it just shows up in the mission and follows you, and it's like, we have to keep moving or he's gonna fucking
we
fight
can't,
us.
Yeah, we can't do anything about it. It's going to get. Yeah, having it as a Mr. X style thing would be awesome. Having an inquisitorial retinue, like have them just be silent sentinels looking after a different inquisitor who's visiting the ship, would just be such a like, oh fuck moment, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Uh-oh, something's happening.
yeah, but just the context of like these are dropped by the hundreds of thousands onto planets during a war. That's the scale of conflict, and I think that would be great as a contextual thing. But yeah,
We
Absolutely.
call this tactic Steel Rain.
We have another question from Witcher122. Where is my soda?
Look, we had to drink most of them because there's not much else in here to drink. So
but please send us more things.
Yes, please
we've
do.
gotten through the branded sodas that we acquired.
Yeah.
We can be trusted with whatever is sent to us.
We
Give me the nuclear missile bomb. I am a trustworthy person to hold it.
we can't drink the codes.
We can't drink the codes, but boy howdy, we can use them.
Another one from Slab Next Door. Have you ever played World of Warcraft, and how do you stop playing this awful game? Send help.
Okay, so here's what you do. You lose your job, and then you go, shit, I need to eat. You cancel your subscription. Hey, you're done. You're free. You're free. You spend your subscription money on fucking ramen, and then you're like, oh, I realize I enjoy eating more than playing the fucking grind game.
Yeah, I can't answer this. I have a natural immunity to MMOs. They're just anathema to me. If you hold a copy of Burning Crusade against my face, I will get burn marks. Like
Fucking antimatter reactions,
Vampire
vaporize.
to a cross kind of shit. Yeah, I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry.
Well, speaking of vampires, if you were vampires in World of Darkness, which clan would you be a part of? This question's from Yan.
Oh, fuck.
This is so hard to answer for me because I don't know that much about World of Darkness.
Wow.
Which is, I'm playing Vampire the Masquerade for the first time, in like a couple weeks. So
Good.
Yeah.
It's a fucking great game.
It's a fucking great game.
I
I kind of want to get like the little group of us together to do a Machiavellian.
I want
to do the fucking. You should kill that guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I did play a World of Darkness game. I played as a Ravnos, but I wouldn't say I fit that well as one. I don't know enough about like Tremere or Ventru or anything like that.
If I had to be a vampire, I'd probably go with Tremere. I know it's the shitty vampire wizards one that makes you a horrible slavery tree. Kevin talks all about it in the cool show we're part of.
Yeah.
But honestly, vampires, they all kind of suck. Like, all of the clans are kind of shit. All the it's a bad time for all parties involved. Personally, though, if I was going to be anything in World of Darkness, and this really isn't helping my argument of I'm not a furry, guys, I swear, I would probably try to go werewolf because I like the idea of being sick eco-terrorists.
Do you mean Gangrel? Is the Gangrel of the like beastie people?
No, I mean werewolves, the separate
Oh,
game series.
you mean the separate actual...
Yeah, the other World of Darkness setting, Werewolf the Apocalypse.
So was the question, which one would you be?
It's which one would you be?
Okay. Samisi.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of like skinning people and use them to make my furniture. Like,
Sick chair, bro.
it's just, I mean, yeah. Thin Blood just sounds like it's not fun and they're not a real
yeah.
clan.
Yeah.
Thin is getting hunted and killed because you scare people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toreador is what you answer if you think you fuck.
Ventru is what you answer if you think fucking isn't cool.
Yeah.
And the last one from Liblet6. Is there a big USB drive full of TTS and or Hunter the Parenting bloopers just waiting to be released for shits and giggles?
Hidden in my nose.
In your nose.
I tried to smuggle it out.
You try and get it out of there. I probably have all of mine, but...
I have all of the sound files from all the episodes I've worked on because Alpha's fucking insane and keeps every asset from anything ever.
Hell yeah.
We have Boreal voice lines from 2015.
Excellent.
In that Dropbox folder, and it's like, why do we have these here? I've asked him, like, why are there a bunch of files here we don't use anymore? And he's going, like, I don't care, leave them there. I'm the one paying for the Dropbox. I bought the terabyte of space, so fucking, I can put what I want on it.
Do not lose the precious Boreal files.
Yeah,
they make up 25% of the company's wealth.
I found a fucking track while looking for audio just to put into a thing, which is music from the fucking Alpha Legion RPG game.
Hell yeah. I mean, that gets used in a couple of the videos still.
Yeah. There's one that apparently I made for, like, the arena.
Oh, yes!
Yeah, the dumb side arena thing I made as my college thing while I was busy being depressed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in those databases that I could just go through and pull out funny things. I don't want to spoil it, but the speaker has this whole thing for the man in the desert. Fucking, I am the man in the desert. It's going to be good if they ever do release that, because I think they want to actually make it into something. That'd be very funny. Honestly, like, bloopers and things are kind of hard to get because when we do recording, we have a director who typically sits across the table, not the table, but digitally across the table, and talks us through the lines, tells us how they want it delivered, sort of responds to us, hears us reading the lines, and that's great. Like, that's really good because then we can get someone else telling us if they think the line is good, or if, because you're your own worst critic.
Yeah.
Like, you can hear, that line was bad, and they go, no, it was fine, shut up, you did fine. Or, you could do that better, or try to put this intonation on it. Or
yeah, the inclination's always the important thing for me.
Like, Speaker's really good at that. I do it for some people now. Alpha does it occasionally. It's good. But they don't record. The person doing the voice acting does. So all the bloopers from the funny sequences are half a conversation. And it's very hard to get the funny sequences out. People are laughing their ass off when it's only half of what's being said. For example, I think Snipe and Whip record together.
Makes sense.
Whenever they do a recording session, they record together. So I'm actually able to line up their tracks next to each other and time it based on them telling jokes to each other. And then you can sort of hear, when you put them next to each other hard enough, you can hear Speaker in the background, like bleeding through one of their speakers. So you can sort of get enough. The next episode has 3 hours of raw audio times 8, or how many tracks are going to be for characters per scene.
Oh,
I have to cut that down.
Yeah, it's hard enough to do a 2.5 hour long track of this where it's one microphone.
Yeah, it's really hard for you to edit this one down just because there are so many good jokes and all the bits that where we're funny and clever and interesting and insightful. You've got to cut all that shit.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
I can't believe he talked about the fucking
fuck being an editor, that is way too hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it when we do the Dark Souls. I just need you to record it, Thunder.
Gladly.
And unfortunately, there won't be anything from my perspective, but if you just send it to me, because I want to learn how to do it, but when I hear about the larger projects you guys work on, I'm just like, what? Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I know it's an acquired skill, but man.
I mean, editing video is something that I always want to teach people because people go like, oh, it's so difficult. Oh, it's so hard. Like, oh, man, it seems like it takes so much time. It's like, no, you just get into the flow of it. It's like painting.
Yeah, that's what happens with me. Like, a lot of people think it's the hardest thing for me, but I'm just like, no, for me, writing scripts is the hardest part, I think. But
yeah,
it's a whole thing. But, well, the light is beginning to fade on the microphone, it looks like.
Oh, man.
I was enjoying it. But instead, we might just have to talk to one another in darkness when no one can hear us.
Oh.
That's probably best for all the other people.
True.
My fragile sanity depends on the realization there might be people outside thanks to the Oracle.
Yeah. Well, just hold on to the memories that you have of that while they're still there. I know you might hallucinate that you're back in the real world, but trust me, they're not.
I'm pretty sure my doppelganger is making videos right now.
How was the cat cafe, by the way, Angles?
Good.
Yeah?
Honestly, good.
I just think it's an absurd concept.
I thought so too, honestly,
I don't know how that can be real.
Of all the creatures to try and corral in an area and socialize, cats was not the first thing I thought.
No, I would have thought pigeons,
Or foxes.
Yeah, maybe those boxes of 100 lizards that you get in pet shops.
Man. Pipe foxes are fucking cool. Why is Pathfinder so shit?